Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mondello Park and welcome to the finale of the Irish Drift Championship for 2018. Grandstand, make some noise! It's absolutely pathetic. We've been doing this for years and you know what, this is your job. Okay, once, every single person in the grandstand up on your feet for one moment, up on your feet. We've got a lot of guests here from across the world this weekend and they've been waiting anxiously to come to Ireland to hear the atmosphere at this event. What you did there was just go, eh. Now you're going to scream the place down, stomp your feet. Mondello, make some noise! That is more like it. It is the finale of the Irish Drift Championship. Here is what's on the line. For 15 years, no international driver has ever won an event on these hallowed grounds. Today, the best in the world will attempt to take down the Irish right in front of your eyes. McKeever will attempt the first ever perfect season, 5 wins from 5. And we have the best from Ireland. We have all the way from Las Vegas, Wang, all the way from Australia, Mitch Lerner, all the way from Poland, Peter Fiscak, McCarthy and Banksy from the UK. This is a stacked grid for your entertainment, so I want you to stay on your feet for one more time and make some noise for your top 16! So this is the biggest parade we've ever attempted. 32 cars are going to go to war. Only one guy can win it. And we want you guys to give a huge ovation to every single one of these drivers as they park up. It is the final round of the year. This one is for all the marbles. This one is for everything. So, Mondello, you ready to introduce these 32 drivers? We start with the most decorated man in world drifting. He is the current Formula Drift champion, current Drift Masters European champion. Give it up for the machine, James Dean. Next up, going up against a pretty easy battle to start with, I'd imagine. We need to give him some underdog encouragement. Give it up for Chris Burnett. Speaking of underdogs, the man that has brought a Corolla all the way from Prime right now sitting in the Pro class. Will you please get up for Chambers before us, Chris Brady! Next up, one of the stars of the Pro-Am class, but now he is in the Pro class at just 16 years of age. Will you make some noise for Ryan Calwell? Next up, he is the current Irish Pro-Am champion for 2018. Will you make some noise for Mr. Lee Scott? Representing Monster Energy and SD Suspension, Westlake Tires, all the way from the UK. Will you give it up for Banksy? Representing Mega Spec and Dean M Sport, the man that is out here to pretty much crash into everybody this weekend to get that trophy. Give it up for the wild man, Dennis Murphy! We are sending out an SOS representing Team Jacksby. Give it up for Shane O'Sullivan! All the way from Lithuania, now residing in the UK, where the craziest human beings behind the wheel. We give us for Armas Vascalis! Bringing style back into drifting, like the man sitting behind him. He is sitting on works wheels in the Delta with R32. Give it up for Brian Egan! Chasing down an outside chance of a championship today, but more importantly, trying to take down 15 years of history. He's been close before. Will he get it today? Get up for a thunder from down under, Lerner! Originally from Hawaii, now residing in Las Vegas. Will you please make some noise for Get Nuts, Forrest Wang! Now with doors as clear as what's between his ears. Dressed as a lumberjack and no reason why. Give it up for Mr. Serious Pete Neilson. They call him Mark McBackwards. Well, that's because he throws out some insane moves in these top 32s. Give it up for Mark McBurney. Right beside him, and we're expecting rain this weekend. We thought his R33 would just sail on through everything. He's back in dry conditions and looking strong. Get up for Joe Doyle. All the way away from the Pro-Am class, and now dream come through here in a top 32 parade in the final. Get up for Neil Dunn! And just about making it into qualifying at the last minute. He is 8 for 8 in competitions this year. The undefeated man in Ireland and England. Give it up for the Northern Smoke Machine, Dwayne McKeever! Returning after a long trip via the Middle East, via Europe, but back on Irish soil this weekend. Get up for Nigel Colfer! Next up, one of the wild men of drifting and definitely on form today, looking strong in qualifying and ready for battles. Get up for Kevin Quinn! The man that wowed us all at the start of this year, taking the first win in the European Championship by taking down none other than his neighbour James Dean. He's back on home soil. Give it up for the 15-year-old Conor Shanahan! And the man that's all smiles at good, bad, or indifferent, but he's out here to wreck this FC to try and get himself onto the podium. Last round of the season, give it up for Mikey Fitz! Returning to Irish Drift Championship action after over 8 years in the Formula Drift Championship, going up against his cousin. Will you give it up for Darren D-Mac McNamara? Continuing the family affair, he sits third place in the Irish Drift Championship right now. Trying to hold on to that today. Give it up for Alan Hinds. Bringing not only a Corolla to the top 32, but a rotary-powered Corolla this weekend after a long hiatus. Back in action. Get up for Jeremy O'Connell. And the man that wowed us in qualifying after a rough year in Europe, he's back in Ireland. He said, you know what, this might just be a championship if he wins it today. Give it up for Team Japspeed's Matt Carter. In the largest car on the grid, which of course he is offering €20 trips anywhere in the country. Of course, the light will be on at 6 o'clock. It is the Drift Taxi and Stone Motorsport. Gives her Brendan Stone. Next up, back in action and looking strong as ever in the battles today. Give it up, representing Mobile One. Give it for Mike Meighan. In a battered and bruised R33 that somehow just never goes away in competition because the man behind it can definitely steer. Give it up for John Shine. We call him the Giant Killer, and today he's got plenty of giants on the grid with him, always in the business end of the championship. Give it up for Paul McCarthy. And making another parade, 5 for 5 in his pro rookie year. Give it up for Danny O'Callaghan. And straight from top of the podium in Texas, all the way from Poland. Give it up for representing Worthouse, Mr. Peter Wiasek. So this is the final of the Irish Drift Championship, and you know, we were promised a pretty bad day, but it looks like conditions are perfect for all of these guys to go to war and impress you guys. Now this is their part of the show. Top 32, go out there 70 miles an hour, go door to door. More especially than that is that nowhere else in Europe can you go and see a lineup like this. Nowhere else in Europe will you have guys flying from Australia to compete in front of you guys. Nowhere else in Europe will you have guys ship cars from the United States to come here, and there's nowhere else in Europe. These guys have traveled thousands of kilometers through every sort of, I would say probably the roughest crossings on sea and air ever to be here this weekend, and they do it for one reason. And it's not just to be the best, and it's not just to try and win. They do it for your appreciation. These guys do it for the fans. That's the whole point of the sport. You guys in the grandstand, you guys over there, are the only reason these guys do what they do, which means we need a big cheer for these guys. And I don't just mean hands in your pockets. I don't just mean standing around smiling, looking like a cow in a field. I mean really getting involved. So grandstand, I need everybody up on their feet. Every single person here up on your feet. Now, we've done this before. Done it before, but we're going to do it differently this time. There's drivers on this grid that have never experienced a grandstand cheer from Mondello Park. That means you've got all the pressure right now. Now here's what's going to happen. I'm going to count to 3 and I'm going to say make some noise. Now some of you are going to scream and roar and some of you are going to stand there looking stupid. But if you all cheer, you can't be embarrassed. Okay, everybody's cheering. So what I want you to do is cheer, and then I want you to keep raising the noise as loud as it possibly can go and stamping your feet. Every single person in the grandstand. You're going to get one shot at this. I want to just send a shiver down their spine. I want them to feel as nervous as I do right now about what's about to happen for the next couple of hours. You got one shot. Mondello, make some noise! That ain't bad. And I have a feeling these guys might make it go a little even louder as the competition goes on. However, this is our national championship, and I would like all of you to stay standing for our national anthem. Well, there's noise regulations here, right? Noise regulations. And they really get annoyed when we start up all these 16 cars at the one time because the noise regulations just go through the roof. So what we decided to do this time is start up 32 cars at the same time. Gentlemen, start your engines! So I'm going to leave you in the good hands of Nathan Black. I'm going back to the tower. We're ready to send these boys top 32. One man we didn't give a share for, we had no car here, and the guy give it up for Shanahan. His car being repaired right now. We're ready to throw down. Nathan, get these people ready, because I'm going to the tower and we're going to war.
Am I going on to the So you heard it, fun. You heard it, folks. The fun games is the real action to begin. 32 cars, only one winner here at the IDC. It's round 5 here at Japan's in the magnificent Mondello. We're going to be finding out, is it going to be James Dean? Is it going to be one of the Shanahans? Is it going to be Connor? Is it going to be Kieran? Who's it going to be? We just don't know, do we? But the anticipation is absolutely killing me. It's absolutely live and electric here, live inside the stadium, as all 32 of the drivers make their way to the starting lines. The engines have been started. You know, it's really, there's an anticipation in the air, there's an electricity in the air. We've got a full crowd here at Mondello. Look at him, they're beautiful. You're a beautiful crowd. We've got people over in the stadium there, we've got people all the way over to the right. This is the place to be. If you're a drifting fan, which I've been for over 2 months, then this is where you want to be live. This is where the action is taking in place. Audience members, wherever you are for the final time, please make some noise for all the drivers as we get ready to rumble. Give it up for him. 1, 2, 3. I'll give him a 6 out of 10. We'll catch up with you down the line. IDC, let's get some. So there you have it. Thank you, Nathan.
Action. Some dark skies in the distance, Dave, but they are missing us. It's blue skies and light clouds on the way to us here for the top 32. Nothing is going to get in the way of an action-fueled afternoon.
Absolutely not, Eddie. I mean, you can feel the tension in the air. It's the final of the championship. Every one of these cars, well, they're not really going to be used tomorrow or in the next couple of weeks, so they're going to put them on the line, and that's what makes the final so much different than any other event of the year. They can risk it.
Yeah, look, and why not? You know, it's just so much at stake here, and it's not even just a championship. For everybody else that isn't Dwayne and Mitch, there's a chance to beat the best drivers in the world, and we are talking James Dean, Peter Fiscak, Forrest Wang, Matt Carter, Stephen Biaggi. I mean, the list goes on and on. It is crazy. It's insane, and there's so much up for grabs. And in a competition and in a sport that is building worldwide, and where bragging rights are, you know, the most important thing, you could come away with, you know, a poor season, but finish on an absolute high here in Mondello this weekend.
Absolutely, and of course, I mean, the nervousness here revolves around those historical moments. Whether an international wins today, that's 15 years of history just wiped away. An international has won on Irish soil. Up till now, over 150 drivers, the best in the world, have tried. No one's done it. Today, I've heard from the pits, it's happening. They said today it's going to be going down, streak's over, forget about it. However, the other story is Dwayne McKeever. The pressure he goes into here, knowing that if he doesn't win today, he's not going to have the perfect season. However, he may still take the championship, more than likely will take the championship either way, but he wants to do it with style. He wants to take down the Shanahans, Dean, Colfer, everybody that's been over in Europe. He wants to take them down today and prove that he is the best in Ireland, period.
Look, we're seeing a very nervous-looking Dwayne McKeever, in my eyes anyway, and I think, you know, if he can get through his top 32 and top 16 battles unscathed, I think we might start seeing him just get a little bit more comfortable in the round. And I think if he gets his championship wrapped up, which he can do so at top 16 stage, we could see him just come out of his shell and start to reproduce what we've seen throughout the season. He's the man with the target on his back, maybe not as comfortable in that position or as accustomed to it as the likes of James Dean would be. I think it's a very, very interesting you know, turn of events that we're going to see here today.
Well, I'll put it this way to you. You've got the current UK champion on the line, the current Irish champion on the line, you have the current Formula Drift Championship on the line, you've got the current European Drift Champion on the line. I mean, it's the top ranked championships in the world. Every one of those trophies is down there on that top 32 grid, and that's what makes it so interesting, that for you guys in attendance, that you can just take a short trip through your country to be able to see the best in the world in anything. You're not going to go, you know, just down the road 2 hours to see Ronaldo and Messi go at it. That's never going to happen. What's going to happen right now is seeing the Ronaldo and Messis of drifting right in front of your eyes. And right now, this is a big one. James Dean goes up against Chris Burnett. Chris Burnett going in is a huge underdog here, Eddie. But on a day like today, anything can happen.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Chris Burnett earlier on, and he said that he had the chance to go up against James Dean in practice, and he just felt that his mind and his brain stopped him from doing what James Dean is doing and pushing just that inch or two further. Can he overcome that and just allow himself to let the car do the work going into the first corner?
So James Dean comes through the gears. It's the first battle here and the final of IDC. Dean to lead in Burnett.
And Burnett makes the big dive, but can he keep with the pace of James Dean? Is James Dean flawless? But Burnett straightens. Burnett gets lost in a cloud of smoke, Dave, behind James Dean, who is putting down a phenomenally perfect lead run so far, replicating what he did in qualifying earlier on, getting it nice and wide out to that outer zone. Burnett doing everything he can to get back into this one, but I think he could be looking at a 9-1, possibly a 10-0 going into the second half of this one.
Yeah, not sure if the straight was enough from Chris Burnett there to cost him that, but James Dean, I mean, this guy has competed. He currently is the European champion. He's the current US champion. He's won the Irish Drift Championship 5 times, the European Championship 5 times, the Guinness Book of World Records holder. This guy is now, what they're saying, a lot of the people around the world is, when we look back in 10 years, he's the Schumacher, he's the Senna, he's the guy that came along that couldn't be beaten by anybody for a long period of time. Will that reign continue today? We don't know, but what I'm saying is he's got that stature now, and it is going to psych out a lot of the other drivers on the grid to know he's that good. And you know, even his nickname, the Machine, it implies that he never makes mistakes, and obviously a lot of drivers psych themselves out against James Dean simply, we've got a little bit of overheating from Chris Burnett's car. That could have been an issue when he came into that first corner. It looked like he had no power in the car. That might be telling a different story.
Yeah, could that be terminal problems for Chris Burnett? But yes, when you talk about James Dean, we are talking about the guy who has set the standard. It will always be comparison to James Dean. Can anyone ever replicate what he has achieved in this sport? Because realistically, no one else has done it for as long and as well as James Dean has done it.
So basically Chris Burnett saying that he needs a 5-minute rule call to cool the car down. Some overheating issues, saying it's sapping power from the car. So you definitely don't want to go into the ring with Mike Tyson and have one arm tied behind your back. Essentially is what happened to Chris Burnett. So James Deane awaits Chris Burnett to return from just cooling his car down a little bit, and we'll see if he's going to take that full 5 minutes. But as you mentioned, we were just talking about James Deane coming in here as the highest ranked driver in the world. So I mean, how often in Ireland can you go to the local track and watch the best person in the world at something compete? And that is very, very rare. Anyone who's these big stars from Ireland, sports stars, they go compete across the world. James Deane does also, but remember, he's competing tomorrow in the European Championship, the Drift Masters European Championship, but said he had to compete in the final round of the Irish Drift Championship because this is what made him what he was. He never will ever quit this championship. He'll always make an appearance, and amazing to see him on the line in a car that has beaten the best of the best in Europe this year, taking the championship, and he's going to be a tough man to stop this weekend.
Yeah, a tough man to stop on a track that he has, probably passed over definitely into the thousands of times at this stage. And, nobody knows this circuit quite as well as James Deane does. He knows it inside out, and we're just awaiting to hear confirmation as to whether or not Chris Burnett is actually going to come back to the line here, facing an uphill challenge against James Deane.
Well, he's already at a disadvantage, so there's not much. James Deane will just chasing Chris Burnett here, trying. I think, at this stage, Chris Burnett retires from the competition. Chris Burnett retires from the competition. Car cannot be cooled down. Mechanical failure means the win goes to James Deane. James Deane will move on to the top 16. And remember, today it's a top 32. We've had top 24s all year. Now it's such a big grid. We're into the top 32, meaning we're running from 32 right to the finish. Confirmation from our judges. James Deane goes through to the top 16. He won't get them as easy for the rest of the round, I'm sure.
You just took the words straight out of my mouth, unfortunately, for Chris Burnett. But for James Deane, it's moving on to the top 16 and one step closer to a potential final for him, our first place qualifier.
Yeah, so James Deane will come down and head back into the pits, and he will get ready for his top 16 battle against the winner of our next battle. As he comes down, offered a lap, but says he just wants to do a little wave to the fans, so give him a wave as he passes by in front of you. James Deane saying, job done, we're going into the top 16. And if you're in the grandstand, give a big round of applause. Current European champion, bringing it back to Ireland once again, also leading the US Formula Drift Championship right now. There is, pound for pound, the best driver in the world, and he's from Cork in Ireland. Next up, Chris Brady and Ryan Calwell. Big one here for Ryan Calwell, 16 years of age, trying to make his name known across Europe. He is the next big rising star from Ireland. He's been beating everybody in Pro-Am, but he goes up against Chris Brady, who in my opinion is going to be looking for a fight. This guy's always looking for a fight. He comes as the underdog. Marshals give the word, we are good to go. It will be Chris Brady to lead in Calwell, and Calwell not letting Brady get an inch here as they come down the straight. Calwell to chase in Chris Brady. Here we go.
Yeah, Caldwell tucks in right behind him. Look at it, straight from the off, Dave. Wheel to wheel through the first corner, but Brady on a really fast line. Now the dive comes from Ryan Caldwell as he looks to try and force an error from Chris Brady, the veteran. Brady throws it onto the wall. Caldwell again just won't be shaken. Tucks in behind him and just maintains that proximity throughout the entire run. Dogfight from these two absolute warriors.
As you can see here, Eddie Calwell dives in. He actually dives in a little too deep and loses a bit of ground, but then watch this dive from Calwell. Transitions on the back bumper and sends it onto the door of Brady's car there. Tucks in and says, I'm right where I need to be for the rest of this run. Calwell, of course, pushing over 750 horsepower. A bit of a horsepower advantage over Chris Brady in that Corolla, but he's also the big amounts of grip in that car, so a lot of maintaining to do to stay at that proximity throughout the run. Phenomenal stuff from both of these guys. And to think Ryan Calwell just arriving on the scene as a youngster just a short time ago, maybe a year or two ago, and now looking like every bit the accomplished pro. Brady now in the chase position. I'm imagining right now he's thinking, I cannot let this kid get any inch ahead of me because he's got the horsepower and the grip. So Brady's got to jump the light here and stay with him. And as you can see, he's going to have to make a full throttle attempt on that back bumper. Calwell leads in Brady as they come up over the hill and through the gears. Big weight transfer from Calwell.
Yeah, but notably as well, a big gap opening up here. Can Brady get back into this when he looks to close that gap? Will he make the dive down the inside? Just can't maintain it. Calwell on a really good outer line here. Brady just washes ever so slightly wide and losing that ground. And while he put in a very strong lead run, can't maintain the proximity as we talked about. Caldwell doing a very strong job in that lead position. He crossed the line, but unfortunately for Chris Brady, Dave, not able to bring the fight and match that pace.
No, and pace is exactly what Caldwell had there. Just absolutely ripped it through the run. And I think, you know, if you're looking at this one from an obvious standpoint of which way the judges are going to go, Caldwell, you know, looks like the favorite here. Just so strong through both runs. So impressed with this kid. Let's see which way the judges go. Slide him left for Caldwell, right for Brady. Kieran goes with Caldwell, Kevin, and makes it unanimous. Dan, Ryan Caldwell's going to the top 16 to face James Dean. And after 2 sterling runs, easy to see why, Eddie. Phenomenal chase pace, phenomenal lead pace, and Caldwell looking like a superstar right now. But he's going to have a big test in the top 16 against James Dean. That's to come later on. Right now, we get another interesting battle. Jack Shanahan going up against Lee Scott. Here's the interesting thing. Lee Scott has only lost 1 battle this entire year so far. However, it's in the Pro-Am class. And a second battle he lost on mechanical failure. So he's only lost 1 on driver error, but now he goes up against the current Irish champion, Jack Shanahan. What a way for Lee Scott to try and announce himself onto the scene. If he can take down Shanahan, Shanahan looking for a turn of form here as he tries to get back on top in that Link Engine Management Tri-Ace Tires S14. You can see the damage he's already done this weekend as they come off the line to start. Let's give the orders. It's going to be Scott to chase in Shanahan. Scott is going to be relishing the opportunity here to make a name for himself, and he's right there with Shanahan.
Yeah, side by side as they come down the straight, but a little bit of a twitch from Lee Scott, and he's losing some ground. Big straight, and is it mechanical problems for Lee Scott here? Shanahan, though, no issues nailing that qualifying line. Scott just can't keep with the pace. As Scott now hunts down the door through the final sections, can he give himself a fighter's chance in this one? Dave, big problems for Lee Scott there on entry.
So watch this. He dives in, but he wobbles. It's almost like he's put so much grip in the back of that car, Eddie, that he's almost undrivable for Lee Scott. And Scott straightens again. It's almost like he's got no drive that he wanted. I think he came in at the pace Shanahan carried. Shanahan had the power. Scott did not, or something happened. He understeered. Big error. And we haven't seen him make any of those this year. And of course, he's dominated his way through the Pro-Am classes in both Ireland and the UK. But now he's up against the champ, and that's when things get a little bit different.
Yeah, lots of additional pressure when you're coming up against, you know, the current IDC champion, and Jack Shanahan looks to have got that car dialed in just the way he wants it, and we haven't seen the best of Jack Shanahan so far this season, but certainly he comes back to the line ready to go. It's Lee Scott with an uphill task here.
Absolutely. Now, this is going to be interesting. Scott's in the lead. He's a good lead line driver. Shanahan in the chase. Shanahan wants to come back in front of a home audience. He's got left a little bit on the start line, spinning wheels. Shanahan playing catch up here, and Scott looks like he is gone. Is there an issue with Jack Shanahan's car? Not sure what happened there.
Yeah, Shanahan way behind, and in running the risk of having an inactive chase run now as he cuts the course to try and get back into this one. Could this be the door opened for Lee Scott to pull himself into the top 16, or one more time Scott takes it to the wall? An excellent lead run from him as Shanahan now brings the proximity. They go door to door as they cross the line. Mondello Park makes some noise. So Shanahan losing a lot of ground at the start of that one. Judges wondering.
Yeah, it's all going to come down to the start line of this one, and we're just getting some word from our track marshals that it was a start line issue, which will be communicated with our judges here of what exactly happened there. But as both guys get out of the cars, big round of applause for Lee Scott and Jack Shanahan. Lee over to have a little discussion with Jack Shanahan, and it's going to come back to our judges. So interesting to see which way this one plays out, Eddie. I mean, we'll have to come back to that start line, see exactly what happened. And our marshals, obviously on the start line, have communicated this.
So let's see if we can get a replay of that start, see if we can pick up on anything, Dave.
Here's the start line marshal, Cian Droney gives a thumbs up. Walks away, says go. Lee Scott goes. Looks like Shanahan just spin wheels on the start line. That's what it looks like.
I wonder, did Shanahan think that he was getting the order to go, then put the car in gear, took it out of gear and put it back in again possibly, and then was just late to hear the call? We will get confirmation of that. Of course, the judges have been informed of what our start line marshal is reporting back. You can see Shanahan way behind then and just claws it back. So.
Okay, so I'm hearing some information from the start line of what's happened. It looks to me that there was an issue on the start line, but our judges are going to make the call on that. So again, we're going to get a result here and see exactly which way it goes. Slide him left for Lee Scott, right for Jack Shanahan. Kieran says one more time. And Kevin says one more time. It's a one more time fair call made. Going to throw it back to the judges there. Guys, what happened exactly?
Yeah, okay, well, let's go to the first round first. Yeah, Jack had a really good lead line, exactly what we asked for. Lee made two major errors. The first one was on entry. He had a bit of straighten on the inside of the track. He got to clip 3. He actually drove straight from clip 3 out to clip 4, then cut the inside of the track. So a lot of errors. He got proximity at the very end, but not enough to to cut any of that errors that he had actually made. So after the first round there, Jack was on an 8-2. So that's a really big advantage. When we swap him around, there was no proximity from Jack in the first corner. He didn't cut clip 3 to make back that, and he gained it near the end, but he had cut the track to do it. So that's an 8-2 the other way. There was an issue on the start line. Basically, the track marshal the start line marshal, he waits for a thumbs up from both drivers. In this case, both drivers gave us a thumb up to say, yeah, they were ready. And just as they were about to get going, Jack actually put his hand up to stop, but at this stage the marshal had already given an indication to the both cars to go, so Lee obviously went. I don't know what Jack's problem was, but he went then, but he had obviously lost a bit of ground. I think, in all fairness, they gave him the thumbs up in the first place. They were then in the start sequence, so to try and stop it at that stage, it was too late for the marshal to stop Lee. So I think the fair thing was to let it run. As it's happened, 8-2 both ways, so it's one more time.
So one more time call from the judges, and Jack Shannon gets out of jail there with a bad start. Next up, here's an interesting one. Stephen Banksy Biagioni goes up against Dennis Murphy. And Banksy looking for a turn of fortune this year. He's built a new car. It hasn't worked correctly at all times, but today it looks like it's going pretty good. But he goes up against Dennis Murphy, who's had the exact same season. A great car, but having some gremlins. Both of these guys, incredible machines. Two very similar looking cars, but under the bonnet, a V8 under Banksy's and an SR 2.2 under Dennis Murphy's. It's UK versus Ireland, international versus homegrown hero. Banksy to lead him in.
Yeah, Murphy right behind Banksy. Oh, contact through the first corner. Big contact, Dave, as both drivers head into the grass. And what happened there, I do not know. I mean, just crazy through that first corner. Big aggression from Dennis Murphy. Looked like he tried to dive down the inside of Banksy. Did Banksy have a problem? I know that car didn't sound 100% when it was out on track for qualifying earlier on. We may need to see a replay of that one, Dave.
I'm sure we'll get the opportunity to have a look at a replay, but it looked to me like Dennis Murphy came in very aggressive, and he came in so aggressive. I'm wondering, was there contact made with the front of Banksy's car, or the steering of Banksy's car, which caused him to go off? So let's have a look at this. As this one just the drama continues, Eddie, as these guys can't get through the first corner. Banksy throws it in. Murphy comes through. Yeah, I'm not sure if Banksy's actually stalling there. Let me have a look at that one again.
Stalling in it, or certainly it looks like those rear wheels are definitely locking up quite a bit.
It could have been an issue with Banksy's car. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to have a quick look at that one again. Check out the rear wheels on Banksy's car here. That's just what's going to tell if the car was on throttle or off throttle.
So, hydro, back on,
Yeah, it's on handbrake again. So that's 4 pulls of the handbrake for Steve Banksy Biagioni through that first corner. That is a full acceleration zone, Eddie, as the judges have explained. And what that means, if you're a new fan, well, it's quite simple. Once you initiate in the first corner by pulling the handbrake and getting the car sideways at clipping zone 1, you must be on full throttle from 1 all the way until clipping zone 3. In that case, to me, and I'm not a judge here, but it looked to me like Steve Banksy Biagioni just couldn't get power down, and he was constantly handbraking just to keep the car sideways. Murphy couldn't have anticipated that, and I think that's what caused some of the collision. As Murphy dives in, Steve Banksy handbrake, and then handbrake again, just in a collision on the front of both cars. So that could be the case. I'm sure our judges will be analysing this one very carefully to make sure the right call is made. Let's see exactly what happened.
And of course, if what you're saying is correct, if there's problems then with Dennis Murphy's car, he would have a competition timeout in order to get that car repaired and back on track for the second half of this one. So we'll just wait and hear from the marshals if there is any problems with Dennis Murphy's car. Of course, big hit there, a lot of very important and delicate suspension components that could have been damaged going into that corner.
So judges wanted to have another look at this one. You see Dennis Murphy in there, and Murphy, yeah, just makes a collision there, and both of them, look, two guys lucky not to end up in the barrier there.
Yeah, that one certainly could have been a damn sight more serious. So Banksy just taking the opportunity just to have a quick look at the steering. Of course, a lot of wheel-on-wheel contact there.
Yeah, it looked like to me that the Banksy just never really got back on power. That seemed to be the issue there, and I'm sure the judges, we've had this issue so many times on that corner over the years, Eddie, of collisions on that first corner, and it always comes down to whether or not, and you can see there's a puncture on Steve Biagione's car there. He's got a fair hit on the front of the car, and you can see Dennis over just. So guys, round of applause for Banksy and Dennis Murphy. They're pushing hard out there, and they're trying to, you know, everyone wants to win here today, and of course, these are beautiful cars getting destroyed for your entertainment and for competition. So we'll have our marshals and our judges have a quick conversation about what the next cause of action is.
As we say, first thing I suppose to try and determine is whether or not these guys are feeling capable of competing in the second half of this battle.
So it looks like judges are coming to a conclusion here. So it is being announced that Steve Biaggione will be awarded a 5-minute rule, and Dennis Murphy will be awarded a competition timeout right now. So that would indicate that fault is now given to Steve Biaggione on that one. I'm just going to quickly throw it across to the judges. That's the way you guys saw it?
Yeah, I mean, watching the replay there, look, you know, in the briefing I explained that once you initiate and go through clip 1, you're on full throttle effectively. You're on throttle from 1 to 2 out to 3. There's no, at no time should be on the handbrake or dabbing the handbrake unless you're making a correction. In this case, I'm not really sure, but it looks like Banksy, when he initiates, he goes through clip 1 as the replay is showing now, but he's leaving clip 1 very early. Those 3 white lines, you should have your right front wheel on that. His left front wheel is on it. So I think he was correcting to get back into 2. He had just got the initiation wrong. And of course, you can't blame Dennis for being on his rear quarter. But if you're dragging on the handbrake, you're going to slow in some non-slowing areas, a full throttle area of the track. So I don't think Dennis could have anticipated that, and I don't think we can blame him for it. So 100%, I think this is Banksy's fault. I think, you know, it's very obvious he's on the handbrake coming towards 2. He shouldn't be. He should be on throttle at that point.
Yeah, so I think that effectively would also give a 10-0 against Banksy on that run. So Dennis Murphy and Banksy will go back into the pits. Dennis with a little bit more time than Banksy to get those cars ready for the second half of their battle.
Yeah, 5 minutes for Steve Biaggione. But of course, the end until the end of the bracket for Dennis Murphy with that competition timeout. So just wondering if Dennis Murphy feels that this car is capable of being driven off the circuit, Dave, because right now Dennis Murphy in no hurry to get back into the car.
Yeah, that is the case right now. I'm not sure exactly what's going on.
So it looks like Dennis Murphy will get back into his car and get that car off circuit. As we've mentioned, he will have a competition timeout. Judges deeming that Steve Biaggione at fault for excessive use of the handbrake in a full throttle zone, and of course also out of position through that first corner as well. So we move it back to the one more time battle between Jack Shanahan and Lee Scott. These two drivers, Dave, will be looking to make a clean pass of the circuit this time around and try and avoid some of the errors that they had on their first runs.
Absolutely. Jack Shanahan now will not hopefully have issues at the start line again. We have a good clean battle between both of these guys. Lee Scott had issues in the chase position. He gets to rewrite the history now as he goes back in for one more shot at the current Irish Drift champion, Jack Shanahan. And it looks like our start line marshal is ready to send cars here as Shanahan and Scott will go back at it again.
So the marshal gives the orders. Here we go. Shanahan through the chicane. Lee Scott side by side as they come down the straight, slamming through the gears. Big initiation from Jack Shanahan, but straight line from Lee Scott as he looks to try and find the door of the S14 of Shanahan. Big dive now down the inside as they come into link engine management corner. Shanahan right on it from the off once again. Solid in the lead position. They switch it onto the door. Scott in the Finvoy tyres. M3 looks to try and maintain that proximity. They cross the line. Shanahan again doing a really strong job in that lead position, Dave.
Just like he did on the first run, looked incredible there, but Scott did a better job, Eddie, that's got to be said. He didn't have as many errors that he did in the last time, but you can see them coming back over the hill here. Shanahan and Scott, as we return over, we get another chance to have a look at that replay. And you know, I think for me, it looks very much like Lee Scott and Jack Shanahan. This is kind of a scrappy battle almost between both of these guys.
Yeah, going to get an opportunity to see this replay. But just again, look, you see that big straighten from Lee Scott, but then gets the car back on angle. Now he's lost some ground though, and he needs to make the dive down the inside to try and gain the proximity back. And he knows after the first run that Jack Shannon's going to be hunting down that door. And we still have the second half of this one. It is important as well to remember that this one more time battle, it can only go one more time on one occasion. So after this, we will have a result from our judges one way or the other. They are on the line, ready to go. Shanahan, Scott in the lead position. Scott to lead them in. We get the marshal's orders. We are go. Who's going to take it through to the top 16? Down the stretch they come as they appear over the brow of the hill. Big gap once again opens up. Can Shanahan close the gap and take down the 2018 Pro-Am champion? Scott very deep into that outer zone. Shanahan right there with him on the door. Shanahan has to back off a little bit though as they make the transition out onto the wall. Not able to find that proximity that he'd want. And you know what, Dave, for me, this one hanging in the balance. Another very, very close battle between these two guys.
You know, I couldn't agree with you more, Eddie. Phenomenal driving from both of these guys. Give it up for Lee Scott and Jack Shanahan. Both of those guys, from my perspective, doing a great job. Look, Shanahan, again, it seems the issue is the straightaway. It seems that he's just losing a lot of ground. That's a lot of ground to lose there. So in one way, you've got, you know, Scott, who makes a big error. Now, this is something the judges might look at, the transition from Shanahan offline, but not with proximity. He's not close enough to make those dives. So he's diving across the track, essentially, to get back into things. Again, both these guys are so confident in their ability on this track, but maybe a little bit of nerves getting in the way. And again, the judges are going to have a good deliberation on this.
Yeah, I think this could be an example of a real compare lead versus lead and chase versus chase. And had there been the option for a one more time, you know, a second one more time, I think it's something that we might have ended up seeing. They will have to make the decision. A lot of ground though really that Jack has to gain back here, so he really sacrifices the line. But Scott dropping a couple of wheels, and then through the final outer zone, Dave, not having that perfect line either. You can see here, perfect onto the wall here, but just starts to come away early here. Shanahan doesn't have the same proximity that Scott had. Scott has that mistake on the entry. I don't know what's going to tip the scales here.
No, and both guys having a good conversation, of course, using the international hand signals for drifting. You can buy a book now written by all these guys. So they have Dennis Murphy's on his competition timeout in the pits. You can see Tuner John Allen having a conversation with him there, trying to get that car 100%. At the end of it, you can see Mike Dean there in the background, James Dean's brother, who maintains this car and puts a lot of heart and soul and blood, sweat and tears into it. And it looks like Dennis Murphy will probably make it back out there against Banksy. We'll keep you updated on what's going on in the pits as we await for a decision on Scott versus Shanahan. So Dennis Murphy getting the thumbs up from his crew. It looks like he's going back out, not to be eliminated by any damage there.
Yeah, and of course important to remember, Dave, that while he is not deemed at fault for the damage, if they weren't able to get that car repaired by the end of the bracket, he would also be eliminated from the competition.
Absolutely. And you can see the boys nervously waiting. Guys, round of applause for Lee Scott and Jack Shanahan as they wait for their decision. Let's see which way it's going to go, and you know what? I can't predict it. I think there's been errors on both sides there. I think the judges have to make a decision on this one, and it's going to be an interesting one. And these two guys have been in such great form all year. They've been, one has been dominating the Pro-Am classes. Jack has been in Europe all year. The car has seen some walls, seen some damage across the way, and it's been a long journey for the Shanahan family to stay not only in Ireland at the start of the season, then all the way across Europe, and now here back for the final. It's been a tough time on those cars.
Yeah, it certainly has. A long season on the road for Jack Shanahan, but you know what? He seems to have that car running the way he and driving the way he likes it at the moment, and certainly the Jack Shanahan of old that we're more accustomed to seeing. So result coming true. Is it going to be Jack Shanahan? Is it going to be Lee Scott? Side him left for Scott, right for Shanahan. Kieran Hinds says Jack Shanahan. Kevin says Jack Shanahan's going through to the top 16. Dan Moorhead makes it unanimous. Judges, a big discussion over that one. It must have been really close.
Yeah, that one was extremely close there and took a good bit of deliberation to decide on, but in the end it really all comes down to mistakes. Lee was probably the more aggressive driver, but however he was making a lot of mistakes to do that. In Jack's lead run he had a absolutely fantastic lead run, no real mistakes. Lee, on the other hand, on initiation he had a very big wobble and then had to get back on it. Then for the rest of his run he had a decent chase. He was a little bit offline, a little bit shallow in places to try and maintain that proximity, but he still came away with a very marginal advantage, but it was almost even a 5-5. You switch him around then and Lee makes two large errors in the lead run. He drops a wheel very slightly at clip 3, outer zone 3, and then drops a wheel severely at outer zone 4 as well. Jack has separation at the start, but he gains he actually gains proximity by the end of the run without sacrificing his line, so then he gains a very slight advantage from that. So it was very marginal, but over the two runs, Jack had the slightest of advantages, and it all just came down to Lee's mistakes.
So Lee Scott not able to take it to the big time just yet, but we will see so much more of that young man, and we move it on to a very interesting battle between Shane O'Sullivan and Aramis Vascalis. Two drivers with completely different styles, Dave, but two drivers who are certainly very consistent and very steady when it comes to how well they perform.
Absolutely. Shane O'Sullivan with that steady, sort of consistent, aggressive professional attitude. Vascalis, well, he likes to say he drives with no brain, and I think he's probably right, because he goes in absolutely 110% every run. This is a real clash of styles. Lithuania versus Ireland. Let's see which way it goes as Shane O'Sullivan leads in Aramis Vascalis into that first corner.
But Vascalis is right there with him as he dives down the inside, tucks in behind Sully. Can Sully... Oh, big dive now from Aramis Vascalis as they launch through Link ECU corner. Both drivers flat on that accelerator. Sully throws it out to the wall, but Vascalis right there with him once again, door to door, wheel to wheel as they cross the line. Mondello Park makes some noise.
So Shane O'Sullivan throws it into that first corner. That's a perfect line from Shane O'Sullivan there, but Aramis Vascalis given plenty to work with. But look at this dive from Vascalis as he starts to throw it onto the door, a little bit of left foot braking to stay in the fight. And from my perspective right now, not a bad run from either driver. Vascalis, look at that, inches from Shane O'Sullivan as they transition in front of the grandstand. Vascalis taking a sizable advantage, I would imagine, after that first run. And Shane O'Sullivan, not for the first time, under big pressure here.
Yeah, under real pressure. And you know what, you look at these battles and you say this is only top 32, Dave, and these guys are already inches apart, door to door, all the way around the circuit. Extreme proximity from Vascalis. He is looking like a real contender here after putting one of the best in the business under pressure through that first run.
Absolutely. Now Vascalis lines up in the lead position. One of the interesting things about Vascalis is that the other driver has to deal with. He creates, sometimes in the lead position, more smoke than most normal drift cars. Whatever way that car is set up, it is just a smoke machine. Getting on the transition for Shane O'Sullivan here through that smoke cloud is going to be a real challenge. But Shane O'Sullivan's been down these roads before against the best of the best, and Vascalis fires out of the gate as Shane O'Sullivan now chases him in.
Yeah, Vascalis with the gap here opening up over Shane O'Sullivan, but can Shane O'Sullivan close it? He certainly can as he washes just a little bit wide and gets a little bit stuck as he misses that third zone, gets into it but then drops a wheel. Vascalis now sends up that smoke signal, tries to blind Shane O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan just doesn't have an answer for the pace that Vascalis has, but Vascalis a little bit off that outer zone, not filling that entirely, and yeah, look, that smoke just causing real problems for Shane O'Sullivan.
It is just an incredible machine, this E30 BMW, and this would be a situation where we might see an international driver take down an Irish driver, or was Shane O'Sullivan done enough over the 2 runs to keep himself in the fight? As they roll in front of the grandstand, guys, make some noise for Shane O'Sullivan, Aramis Vascalis. Results are in, slide him left for Vascalis, right for Shane O'Sullivan. Dan Moorhead goes for Vascalis. Will he get one more and go through? He does. Into the top 16 goes Aramis Vascalis. And Shane O'Sullivan bows out at top 32, throwing it back to the judges for a short explanation.
Yeah, Dave, it's pretty easy to explain that one, to be honest. I mean, Shane makes absolutely no mistakes in his lead run, just Vascalis is absolutely glued to him. Swapped the roles around there, and unfortunately Vascalis just was pulling away from Sully the whole way throughout the track. Didn't really have much of an answer for him, so advantage over both runs.
So Vascalis takes down an Irish driver. Well, we're back on the line, and it's an Irish driver versus a UK driver. Second half of Banksy versus Dennis Murphy. Murphy called to be not at fault for the collision on the first half of the run, and now they go back at it again. This time it's Dennis Murphy in the lead position, taking off the bumper bar off the front of the car. As you can imagine, some damage sustained from the first run, and it will be Banksy to chase in that V8 Monster Energy Westlake Tire ST suspension. Acorn Insurance car to chase in the Dean M Sport Mega Spec car of Dennis Murphy to come off the line. And look at this, Banksy giving him absolutely, he has to go fully 100% here.
Yeah, Banksy with some work to do. He knows he's at a big disadvantage here. What can he do? Straight onto the door of Dennis Murphy, but starts to watch a little bit wide as Murphy misses clip 3. Not perfect from him, but with that big advantage, could it be forgiven? Now he starts to put the foot down as Banksy gets lost in the smoke as he struggles to try and regain the proximity. Could Banksy be going home? Could he be out of the competition at the hands of Dennis Murphy?
Well, you know what? Not a clean lead run from Dennis Murphy at all there. Not the perfect run in any shape or form. However, Banksy made a huge dive on the first corner, got in nice and close, just one understeer. You can see all 4 wheels facing the same direction. A little bit of understeer, and that little bit of understeer gave Murphy enough to go forward. But Murphy's making errors. He's in the sort of straightening up on the transitions a little bit twitchy. You see here, he comes to the wall, just a little bit of a snappy transition. But he has got a lot of work coming way out the outer zone there, Dennis Murphy. But he might have done enough just from that collision on the first run. Let's see which way the judges go. Slide him left for Dennis Murphy, right for Steve Banksy, Biagioni, Kieran, Kevin, and Dan. Dennis Murphy gets the win and goes through to our top 16. And unfortunately for Banksy, the weekend will end there, and it all comes down to the collision on the first corner. We heard Kieran explain the decision of why that was the case. And it is going to be an Irish driver taking it through to the top 16 in another international versus homegrown talent battle. And straight into another one.
Yeah, what an important one this one is in terms of the championship. Brian Egan taking on Mitch Lerner.
So Brian Egan goes up against Mitch Lerner. These guys have gone head to head before, but Lerner getting the victory. Lerner needs to win this event to stand any chance of the championship, given how Dwayne McKeever finishes. But the Thunder from Down Under says he's got to take down everybody this weekend and be the first man to win on Irish soil. But he's got a very on-form Brian Egan in the dealt with R32 to contend with now, and Egan will lead them in here. Both of these guys are on a sterling form right now as they come through the gears. Egan to lead in Lerner.
Yeah, what can Lerner do here against one of the best in the business in the Irish Drift Championship? Brian Egan takes on the perfect line. Lerner looks to make the dive now in that Zestino tyres. One via Lerner coming for the door of Brian Egan. Brian Egan, though, nailing that qualifying line in the Delta with R32. They throw it onto the wall. Both drivers filling that outer zone, but not the proximity we expected to see from Mitch Lerner. He stays in it, Dave, but certainly not as door-to-door as we would have expected.
Well, from my perspective there, that is a phenomenal lead run from Brian Egan there. Did exactly what the judges wanted him to do. Stayed wide to every single clipping zone. I would imagine that would be up in the 90 pluses, giving Mitch Lerner everything to work with there to force the issue. But he does and he doesn't. He stays close, but doesn't make those massive dives. But then I still think when it all settles down at the end of the run, Lerner will take a small advantage there, but leave the door open for Brian Egan to maybe risk it all and try and take down the Thunder from Down Under, who has been on the podium every round this year.
Yeah, look, I think Mitch maintains proximity, but he certainly doesn't match Brian Egan for angle, as Brian was carrying big angle. Mitch a little bit shallower certainly the door open here for Brian Egan to take this one home for
Well,
the
I think
Irish.
if you're Brian Egan, you're not so worried about the championship right now. You know that's gone beyond you. What you could do is take down the man sitting second in the championship and then make a charge at the last event. We've often heard Brian Egan say, at the last event, Jaffest, that's where heroes are made. That's where you go that little bit harder. Well, if he could stay with Lerner in that V8, he will give him a real problem here. But Lerner's lead runs have been phenomenal also today. So let's see which way this one goes. I would not take your eyes off it. So Marshall's orders are underway. It's going to be Egan in the chase. He's already jumping the line. He is not letting Lerner away here as they come down the straight, and Lerner and Egan will fire it in at over 75 miles an hour. A little bit of a gap here already.
Yeah, gap opens up. What can Brian Egan do to try and close that? Mitch on a solid lead line now as he looks to put one in the bag for Western Australia. Brian Egan very shallow as he tries to find some proximity, tries to hunt down the door of the Thunder from down under. And could the tables have turned as Brian just not able to match the proximity of Mitch Lerner. Mitch Lerner looking very confident in that lead position. And do you know what, Dave? I thought Brian Egan was going to have the pace. It certainly didn't appear to be the case, though.
Yeah, I think it all came down to the start line again, and Mitch Lerner coming off the line and Brian Egan coming off the line. And that was where the gap was created. I think we'll have a look at that on the replay and see what happened. So Marshall gives the orders. He says go. Brian Egan goes, and Lerner sort of waits there for a little bit and then goes. Maybe that was enough to cause the issue there. But again, from that point on, both drivers doing a great job on the full course. And look at Lerner, perfect line through 3 and huge washout to 5. And so judges are making a call on it, and they want to have a look at that start again. watch the Marshall's orders. Gives thumbs up, and then when they're signaled, they're both to go. Signal goes, Brian Egan goes, he waits, and then Lerner just takes that second to come off the line. Now, it depends on what way the judges will see that, but at that stage, it looked like the battle may have been over for Brian Egan on the run-in behind him. So good lead run from Mitch Lerner, good lead run from Brian Egan. Lerner with a little bit more. They're just watching this start line again.
Yeah, and having a really good conversation about this one as well, Dave. So I'm just wondering, is this as clear-cut as it seemed?
Yeah, it did
Could
look
this be going in the favour of Brian Egan? Could that stall or that lack of progression off the line from Mitch Lerner be enough for the judges to consider to be a considerable cause for Brian Egan's lack of proximity?
Of course, I mean, the idea here, the chase car can jump that light. That's allowed from the chase car, but Brian Egan jumped, and then he had to wait a little bit for Mitch Lerner to get going. And of course, the lead car is supposed to go immediately on the signal from the start line, Marshall. Otherwise, the chase car is having to stall on the run-in and losing the advantage. So I think they're going to look at that and see how serious that is. I think that's the story of the second run. The first run was solid from both of these guys. Both did a great job. Both put in a phenomenal run. But let's have a look and see exactly what way the judges go on the first. I mean, this is technicality. I mean, you can look at it from an obvious way and say it looked to me like Mitch Lerner wiped everybody there. Brian Egan had no proximity. But it does all stem from that start line, and we saw it in the Shanahan-Lee Scott battle as well, that start line can be a huge part of it, because obviously this isn't a drag race. This isn't about who gets to the corner first. If you get to the corner first, you're going to have a massive advantage either way. So that chicane and that start line system, and of course you're right beside the start line, Marshall Eddy, so he knows exactly what's going on. So he'll be communicating that back to the judges, and I think that's what the discussion is right now.
So a nervous wait for the two drivers as they are out of the cars. Guys, give them a round of applause. So much sitting on the line for these two, and a championship on the line for Mitch Lerner, and Brian Egan, of course, looking to try and make a name for himself against some of the best in the world here this weekend, and just finish his season off on a high. And
yeah, so we're going to go back to the briefing, Eddie, because we've got a few moments while the judges discuss this, and I'm just going to relay what was said in briefing this morning. So the lead driver must go when he's signaled by the start line marshal. He has no choice. However, the chase driver can jump it a little bit before that. However, if the lead car does not go when signaled, he cannot dictate the pace of the run. So essentially, he cannot decide when he goes, because that's a jump, essentially. When the marshal gives the signal, the car has to go and must go. In that case, it looked to me like Brian Egan was edging off the line. It looked to me that is allowed in IDC, or allowed jump. You must initiate behind the rear bumper of the lead car, so that is the normal case. However, in Lerner's case, he hesitates on the line, he waits, Egan stops, and then Lerner goes. So that's what the judges will be discussing. Now, whether or not it's severe enough to turn over the battle, I'm not too sure, but it is a case that they will be analysing that. And again, it's in the issue of fairness across it. And of course, that driver briefing, which is an hour long in the morning, does go for all that. So let's see which way the judges go. Has Lerner done enough to go through to the top 16? Slide him left for Mitch Lerner, slide him right for Brian Egan. Let's see which way it goes. Kieran goes for Mitch Lerner. Kevin goes for Mitch Lerner. Mitch Lerner gets the win and goes through to the top 16. And from this position, we can shoot it back to the judges. We're just having a little discussion ourselves about the start line procedure. What way do you guys see it?
Yeah, okay, if we just look at the first run there, Brian had a really good lead run, actually, really high-scoring lead run, good angle all the way through. Mitch has a really good chase. He got caught slightly on transition right here in front of us, a slight error there, but Mitch didn't really match Brian's angle, but he did enough just to take a very, very small advantage in the first run. So it really all comes down to the second one, and obviously there's a gap between Brian and Mitch, so Mitch takes a 6-4 on that one based on that. Now, the only reason we'll be looking at the replays, okay, it appears that Brian actually launches and then backs out waiting for Mitch to launch. Okay, now the thing is, it's the chase drivers, you know, he can jump to start if he wants, but if he decides to back and wait for the other guy to come and he gets caught, unfortunately that's his own mistake, so it's a risk you take. Droney on the start line, he actually indicates what cars to go, and Brian jumps straight away actually, and then hesitated, and okay, a second later Mitch goes, and I think Mitch then kind of got the jump in it. Look, we wouldn't like to see the lead driver, you know, stalling on the line and creating a problem like this, but you know, we're not going to point the finger at Mitch and say it was Mitch's fault. It's Mitch's choice to go within a second or so of being indicated that you need to go. It's not like a green light drag strip job where once you get indicated you just go straight away, and it's Brian's job to, you know, to be beside the lead driver when he takes off. He can be slightly ahead, and maybe if he had kept going and just paused a small bit and let Mitch pass him down the straight, it might have worked fine. Is the fact that he actually stalled, and I think that was, you know, Brian's own fault.
So there you have it. We are now moving on to our next battle, and it will be Pete Neilson going up against Forrest Wang. So it will be America versus Ireland as Pete Neilson debuts a new car and Forrest Wang debuts his own car in Ireland for the first time. Wang tipped as a hot favourite here this weekend to trouble that Irish undefeated streak, and he goes up against Pete Neilson, who will be giving away almost half the horsepower here. This will be an uphill battle for Pete Neilson, and can Wang get the job done, or will Ireland prevail again? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, well, look, straight from the off, you can see that the difference in horsepower as Wang just fires through that first section. Pete now, the only thing he can really do is just try and maintain a good qualifying line. He looks to make the dive, jumps right down, but just can't get on the door of Forrest Wang in the Fantasia S14. Wang looking very comfortable and at home on this circuit here in Ireland once again, and let's not forget, he has been here before and caused serious problems for this grid.
Absolutely, as they come through, Forrest Wang, that's a job done on the first half of the run there. Big speed, big angle, big smoke. That's what he's all about for Forrest Wang, and Pete Neilson just didn't have an answer there whatsoever.
Yeah, not really a whole lot that Pete can do against a driver with such pace. I mean, he tried to keep himself in the fight as best he can, but you can just see the cloud of smoke that's created by Forrest Wang, coupled with that angle and that perfect qualifying line. Very difficult to try and keep yourself in the fight against such a competitive driver. As we get ready to switch them around.
So switching around, it will be now Wang in the chase position. Forrest has been here before. He's got third position on the podium before, but now it's in his own car. This car has competed in Formula Drift in the past, and even Dean Carney has driven this in Formula Drift this year, this car, but now it is here in Ireland, shipped in for this weekend. Doesn't even have windows in it. That's how quick the journey was from Las Vegas. He goes against Pete Neilson, who has windows, but you can see through his doors. So try and figure this one out. Two great characters in the sport of drifting, and it'll be Forrest Wang now to give us our first taste of chase driving from him against Pete Neilson.
Yeah, the big deal. Oh, look at this. Right from the off, he chews down the door of Pete Neilson as they initiate side by side. Pete, though, gets caught and misses that third outer zone. Now, can Wang just rein in the aggression here as he tries to chase down this slower car? Dials on big angle just to try and keep... Oh, but Wang goes 3 wheels off! Wang goes 3 wheels off. Dave almost loses it as they came into the final sections of the circuit. Yeah. Wow, what about that?
I'm not sure, maybe 3, but definitely 2 wheels off that zone. We'll have to have a quick look at that one again. It looked to me like 2 wheels off the track, maybe not 3, but he had a phenomenal chase up to that point against Pete Neilson, who was in the wrong place on the track. Clipping zone 3 missed, and this is going to be an interesting one for the judges to see exactly what happened here. Not the cleanest of runs. You can see Pete Neilson transitioning here. This is where Wang makes a mistake, dives in a little too deep. It looks like, yeah, just about keeps 1 wheel in the zone there. So 2 wheels off from Forrest Wang, but Pete Neilson not on the perfect line either, so I'm not sure exactly which way the judges are going to call it. You can see it, and look at that angle. But then Pete Neilson's 2 wheels off the track as well, so that's probably going to balance that one out, Eddie. I was only watching the chase car wash wide at the end there, but just noticing when I look back at it that Pete Neilson also dropped. So let's see which way it goes. Slide him left for Pete Neilson, right for Forrest Wang. Will it be Ireland or will it be the USA? Well, it looks 1 vote for Forrest Wang. And Forrest Wang takes it. It goes through to the top 16. He is going through to the top 16. Pete Neilson bounces out there, and of course an easy one for the judges with both drivers dropping wheels off there, balancing each other out. And of course Forrest Wang looking way stronger in his lead position, leaving Pete Neilson pretty much for dead. So job done for Forrest Wang, and he moves on to the next stage of competition as we are ready with our next 2 cars to go.
Yeah, Wang getting the job done. We moved along to Mark McBurney taking on Joe Doyle. 2 completely different styles of driving, but 2 guys that are at their best at the moment. Who's going to take it through to the top 16? A battle against Forrest Wang awaits the 2. McBurney, the higher qualifier, moves to the line in that Drift Shed NI 180SX. Thumbs up from McBurney as he looks cool, calm and collected. Joe Doyle in the background, Dave, warming the tyres in the Quinn coach hire, Quinn Motorsport R33 Skyline. And
yes, Joe Doyle warming tyres here and getting himself ready for this battle. And it looks like it will be an interesting one because McBurney gives away the power here, Eddie, but Joe Doyle hasn't got the results that Mark McBurney's had this year. So you've got a bit more machinery with Joe Doyle, but you've got the sort of, he's been on the podium at round 3, Mark McBurney. So, and you know, he's been in top 4 at round 4 as well. So McBurney's the man to watch here, even though he gives away that power.
yeah, gives away the power, but certainly very fluid through the circuit and very consistent. Joe Doyle though tucks in right behind him as McBurney lays down a really solid first half of the run here. Doyle drops offline as he looks to go to the door of McBurney in the 180SX. Nice transition onto the wall from McBurney, filling up that outer zone. Doyle brings the proximity, but just can't find the door of Mark McBurney. So you can see them on the replay coming over the hill one more time, and again that just gap opens up quite early on, and Joe Doyle struggles just to close it. McBurney laying down a very strong lead run, and Joe Doyle having to sacrifice a lot of line just to try and close that gap a little bit.
Impressive stuff from both drivers. It goes to show at this point in the season, Eddie, these guys are back on form, and that means that they've done this layout at round 1, they've gone through the season, they've got their cars dialed in. We're expecting strong performances, but what we're noticing is unforced errors are now creeping in. I think that comes down to the level and scale of the competition. I mean, you see Mark McBurney just crash into the grass there. You know, there's a man that just did a 70-mile-an-hour entry sideways and can't turn around in a small space.
Yeah.
With Wisefab on that. Not to call him out on it, but you know what I mean. So Mark McBurney turns around on the start line. He's in the chase position. Door open here for him to make an impact and get nice and close and personal with Joe Doyle as they come over the hill. Looks like both guys are super relaxed. This is going to be a fun battle.
Yeah, the second half of this one ready to go. Doyle to lead them in this time around. What can he do in the lead position as he slams through the gears, comes over the brow of the hill and throws that car on big angle through the first corner. But look at this, Dave. McBurney right there with him as they go door to door. Just getting into that third clipping zone, but crucially here, Joe Doyle not able to fill up that outer zone as he looks to throw back on angle. McBurney just keeping himself poised for an attack at the end here, doing a good job, not making any mistakes in the chase position as they cross the line. Guys, make some noise for Joe Doyle and Mark McBurney.
Great run from both of these guys, showing just the depth and pool of talent here in the Irish Drift Championship at the final. And you got to remember, McBurney's sitting in the business end of the championship too. This counts a lot for him. And I'm sure Alan Hinds will be looking over his shoulder saying, I want these guys to start dropping down the order. But let's see who's going through. Left for Joe Doyle, right for Mark McBurney. 1 vote for McBurney. And he gets another. Mark McBurney's going to the top 16. Throw that one quickly back to the judges. McBurney getting the win.
Yeah, Mark gaining the advantage over both runs there. Mark had quite a good lead run and definitely slightly better than Joe's, more on the qualifying line. Joe, however, when he was chasing, he started off good, but he then fell off just around outer zone 3 and then had to make a big dive and was way offline then to try and get back on proximity all the way around 4. Mark didn't have to do any such manoeuvres. He was laid it onto Joe's door from the very start and kept that proximity the whole way throughout, so gained quite a sizable advantage then, and Mark was able to take the win overall.
So there you have it. Now we move on to a very, very interesting battle. Dwayne McKeever versus Neil Dunn. So, we have just received word over our headset that if Dwayne McKeever wins this battle, he is the 2018 Irish Drift Champion. Mathematically, that's how it's lining up, and the man standing in his way, well, he's a Pro-Am driver, Neil Dunn. What a moment for him, Eddie. McKeever takes it home. He's got the championship. He'll still be going for the perfect 5 for 5, but this one is for all the marbles for Dwayne McKeever to get the job done in Ireland and become champion of 2018 in the Irish Drift Championship. Neil Dunn comes off the line and he's gone for it here. Neil Dunn is up and gone, trying to stay with Dwayne McKeever into that first corner.
Yeah, I think for Neil Dunn, he knows he's going to be battling one of the fastest drivers around the circuit. Look at this, gets caught completely, Dave. McKeever so quick through that first section of the course, and for Neil Dunn, that's all she wrote on the first run, staring down the barrel of a 10-0, and Dwayne McKeever, job done for him, Dave, as he clouds out this Mondello circuit, and I think a massive sigh of relief as he knows going into the second half of this one with a huge advantage.
Neil Dunn throws his arms in the air and says, well, I gave it a go, didn't quite work out for me there. I'm trying to come in at big pace and had to back off a little bit on entry, and just came in on too much angle, Eddie, and just, as he went on power, just lost control into the grass and just bounced himself across the track. Dwayne McKeever, half the job done for the championship in 2018. Remember, if he does, because I'm presuming a 10-0 unforced error against Neil Dunn, it means that if Dwayne McKeever makes one clean pass of the circuit, he is your 2018 Irish Drift Champion. And that is something he has wanted for quite some time, to get back into that position. He's trying to do the double in Ireland and England this year. Well, today he can get half of that job done. He still wants to go for 5 wins from 5 rounds. No one's ever done that in history, but the first job is being done in the next 30 seconds. Clean pass of the course, McKeever is your champion. Here we go.
So they slam it through the gears. Neil Dunn fires it in on big angle, but right with him, and just as you'd expect, is Dwayne McKeever. McKeever holding back just a little bit, allowing the slower car just to have some space. Doesn't want to make any mistakes. Oh, big error from Neil Dunn as he almost washes off the circuit. They switch it back onto the wall. Right out to that outer line for Neil Dunn, but McKeever tucks in. He goes door to door, side by side, and across the line. Mondello makes some noise for Dwayne McKeever. And Neil Dunn, what about that, Dave?
Well, he's battled all the way from April this year. Grandstand, up on your feet, because right now it might just be happening. As he exits the car, he makes some noise for Dwayne McKeever and Neil Dunn. We have got to make it official. Will Dwayne McKeever take home the 2018 Irish Drift Championship? And he'll get that title without being defeated this year. The judges drop in their scores. Kieran says McKeever. And McKeever is champion! The winner of the 2018 Irish Drift Championship is Dwayne McKeever. Guys, give him a huge, huge ovation. Dwayne, unfortunately, that isn't the job done yet. Get back in that car. You've got 5 for 5, Dame, for later today. Neil Dunn bows out, guys. Round of applause for him. No question there, 10-0 spin on the first one, Eddie, and what a worthy champion this year. At this point in time, hasn't been beaten in 9 events so far.
Yeah, look, a huge, huge achievement for Dwayne McKeever, and a statement made to the rest of the world watching on, because right now he is setting his sights towards an undefeated season and a shot at the European Championship next season. But look, he has been phenomenal, and too good for Neil Dunn to compete with just on today.
Just need to talk.
So we move it along to our next battle, and you know what, as if it hasn't been interesting enough already, Nigel Colfer taking on Kevin Quinn. Colfer, years of experience around this circuit, but Kevin Quinn, one of the hottest rising talents that we have coming through the ranks, and if he could take down Nigel Colfer, it would be a massive statement.
Hey, if you're a fan of two JZ 180s that have got about 700 horsepower, they both have them here as Colfer comes back from Europe to take on one of the rising stars in Ireland, Quinn. And look at Quinn go on the inside of Colfer, wait for the dive onto link engine management corner, and he makes it. This one is getting hotter by the minute.
Yeah, Colfer on a good line. Quinn now not able just to bring that proximity. Colfer throws it onto the wall. Kevin Quinn getting lost in the smoke a little bit, but just about stays there towards the end of the run.
You know what I would love to do, Eddie, and this is just a side note. I would love to put that run on like, you know when you have a ghost car in the PlayStation, like I would love to put a drift run from 6 years ago beside that run, because the speed these guys are carrying compared to 5 or 6 years ago, it's got to be 20-30 miles an hour faster on entry, and they are just absolutely pitting these cars. Remember, 500 horsepower was a massive amount of horsepower 6 years ago. We say 700 horsepower now like it's absolutely nothing. Remember, that's over, you know, any supercar that's out there on the road, and these guys are throwing those sideways. Incredible run from both of these guys, and it goes to show two guys with very different backgrounds. Quinn climbing his way through the ranks, Colfer, a very established driver with over 30-40 podiums across his career, and Quinn would love to do one over on Colfer here just to put a point on the Drift Masters driver returning, but Colfer so far looking very unfazed. This one is going to be a real game of chess in the second half. Colfer though is going to have to be aggressive here. Quinn's done his job, he hasn't been left behind by a whole lot. Colfer is going to have to chase close. He's got the pace, we can see that, but can he get the job done here? Getting left a little bit on entry here is Colfer.
Yeah, needs to pull himself back into this one as Kevin Quinn looking really strong, really fast through the circuit. Nice and deep into the link engine management section of the circuit, and Colfer now just appears through that smoke. Tries to find some proximity here. Can Kevin Quinn though take down the veteran of Irish drifting? They crossed the line in a very, very tight battle from where I'm sitting, Dave.
Again, it looked like Nigel Colfer just couldn't catch Quinn up the straight, and Quinn looked like he just gripped up and went. Whatever way they set that car up, he definitely had the pace. Looks like Colfer just couldn't get through the gears fast enough there.
Yeah, you can see a big gap opens up, and you know Colfer does well to try, you know, to close that without sacrificing a whole lot of line in order to get there. So judges will be watching and rewarding that as well, but certainly the pace off the line from Kevin Quinn and that very well prepared Quinn M Sport 180SX, and
yeah, and Colfer does get back into it, Eddie, and makes a good go, but towards the end, it looked like up the straight Quinn just had the pace for him. Judges will be deliberating this one and seeing exactly what happened. Both guys to get out of the cars. Guys, round of applause for Kevin Quinn and Nigel Colfer. Both these guys. I love this little discussion after it, but the way the judges are having a discussion, the drivers have an equal discussion. I think what's happening now is Nigel Colfer saying, I think I'm going to go for the steak tonight, but I'm not sure if I want to have that much. And Kevin Quinn going, I just go for something small and light. You know, that's probably what the conversation is, I'm sure, down there on the pits.
It's almost like it's, you know, first date kind of chitter chatter. It's real awkward. Neither knows what to say.
Yeah, I'm from the North Round. Oh, I'm from Wexford. Yeah. I've got a 180. Oh, I have a 180 as well. 2JZ, absolutely. So they're having a little conversation there, and you know, just
we've so much in common.
We've so much in common, except for our Snapchats and what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, they definitely don't have that in common.
So let's see which way the judges go on this one. An interesting battle here, and again, this bracket is throwing up some very interesting face-offs. Let's see which way it goes. Kevin Quinn, slide him left, slide him right for Nigel Colfer, and it looks like it's going to be a one more time between Quinn and Colfer. Quickly back to the judges, guys, couldn't separate them.
No, to be fair, Dave, they're kind of battles of mistakes, really. With a lot of separation. Let's say Kevin is on Nigel in the first run at clip 1. Nigel accelerates and is completely lost Kevin by clip 3, but Kevin then starts cutting the track to make back up proximity. He completely drops clip 3 and then is cutting the corner the whole way around at outer zone 4. Now, Nigel takes an advantage, let's say, in that run. Then we swap it back around again. We've big separation coming in on the first corner here, and Kevin's lead is not quite as clean as Nigel's, so there are battles of mistakes, and it goes back the other way then to being a 6-4 to Nigel, even with the separation. So we have to see that go one more time.
So they head back to the pits, Dave, just to put some fresh rubber on those two 180SXs. We move it along to our next battle. A very interesting one. Two guys that are great friends off the circuit. Conor Shanahan taking on Mikey Fitz. One a 14-year-old, one the height of a 14-year-old. This one is very interesting.
Yeah. Good, Ed. I like that. So basically, Mike Fitz has been trying to win this goddamn Irish Drift Championship round for so many years, but Conor Shanahan is primed and ready after a phenomenal season in Europe. The 15-year-old will be in the 180SX, and Mike Fitz is not going to let him away with this one very easily, as Fitz now starts to chase down Shanahan into that first corner. Shanahan coming through with a lot of pace there.
Yeah, Shanahan very, very quick, and Mike, drops a wheel, Dave, and you can just see how severe it is as it causes them to go into a spin. Causes Mikey Fitz into a spin so severe, very hard to see from the camera angle, but happened right in front of us, and it is probably about 2 feet of a drop there, so could potentially cause a lot of damage to a vehicle. Conor Shanahan taking a huge advantage now going into the second half of this one, and for Mikey Fitz, not what he would have wanted a top 32 stage.
No, and I think it's the pace that Shanahan carries here. Watch that initiation. Fitz just draws back and he tries to chase him on shallow angle. Comes through, gets a little bit of understeer, and that's what causes the issue. Just didn't have enough wheel speed to keep the wheels spinning. Had it drawn, that corner. If you watch it on live stream, and I know a lot of people from around the world do, it is absolutely no representation of what that corner is. If you actually, I've had a lot of the European guys from the Drift Masters Championship come up to me on Friday and go, it looks nothing like that when you're driving in over the hill. So imagine when you come down that corner, there's 2 ridges and you can't see anything but the top of the grandstand, because remember, you're sitting low in the car. So when you initiate and come through, it's completely blind downhill, and it's also full throttle. If you come off throttle at all between clipping zone 1 and 3, you're ending up in the grass or the gravel, because the car starts to wash with gravity alone, because you're actually coming down a hill. So that's exactly what happened, Mike Fitz. When you don't have enough to spin the wheels, you're going to end up in the dirt.
So we are ready for the second half of this one. Mike Fitz leading them in, but he knows now that he has a huge disadvantage. He needs Conor Shanahan to make a big mistake in the chase position. What can Fitz do in the lead position? Conor Shanahan right with him, dives down the inside of the door of Mikey Fitz. Mikey Fitz gets through that first few zones unscathed, but just can't bring the proximity. Shanahan washes wide. He just needs a clean pass to the circuit, and he's going through to the top 16. Can he come through the final sections unscathed? Tag of the wall for Shanahan. He loses some ground, but then gets back in it, and as they cross the line, I think it's all she wrote for Mikey Fitz. And the spin on the first run, Dave, I think will be what it comes down to.
Yeah, we're no experts here, Eddie, but I think if you're facing the wrong way after the first run, you've got a real uphill battle from that point on. Judging decisions will come in. Slide him left for Mike Fitz, right for Conor Shanahan. There you have it. Conor Shanahan gets the win and goes through to the top 16. Joins Jack Shanahan in the top 16. Both Shanahans through, McKeever through, Dean through. Pretty much all the big names going through right now. Lining up for a very spectacular top 16. And from that point of view, again, Mikey Fitz just made that error, just had that understeer, ended up in the dirt, spun around, and that's the end of that. Now, here's a very, very important one. Let's break it down if you're kind of a casual drift fan. So you have Darren McNamara. He's been out there, Formula Drift, 8 years, big name on the scene, current pro Formula Drift, built this crazy car. He also built and had a good part to play in building Alan Hinds' car, which is his cousin. So these guys are cousin. One in his first ever year of pro, and the other has been in 15 years of Irish drifting. That is what's happening. The new gun against the guy that made it what it is. This is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Darren McNamara will chase because his younger cousin is the higher qualifier right now. This one, of course, also interesting. Hinds in his first pro year, he's 3rd in the championship. That's on the line right now as they come in over the hill. McNamara chase in Hinds.
Yeah, McNamara right on the back bumper, the S14 of the Pro Drift Academy driver. Big forward bite from that PS13 as McNamara looks to force an attack here, but he loses some ground. Pinpoint accuracy from Alan Hinds as he stays nice and calm behind the wheel, unfazed by his bigger, badder cousin coming after him. McNamara chases him over the line and almost makes contact with the rear end of that 14. All family affair here on this one, Dave.
Yeah, impressive stuff. Look at Alan Hinds though, perfect entry. McNamara loses a little bit of ground here and has to sort of shallow up the corner, drops the wheel in the dirt, and then on the transition, Darren cutting the course here to try and get back into cutting that link engine management corner just a little bit to try and stay on the door. And again, if you don't have the proximity, judges saying you should kind of go back out to those outer zones.
Notable that Alan Hinds missing that third outer zone though. Which may have impacted the line of Darren McNamara, so this one's certainly hanging in the balance for me, Dave.
Absolutely, and I mean, they've built this car over 2 years, this incredible Group D PS13, so over-engineered. If you get a chance today or tomorrow to look around that car in the paddock, it is just incredible. It's just, there's stuff going everywhere. I don't even know what half the stuff does, Eddie, but I'm sure it does something. And they've all the switch panel on the floor and everything to keep the lower center of gravity. Obviously, you can see it's so clean inside, everything's just functional. But Alan Hinds is kind of just a step up, a 2J and a kind of stock enough S14. So he's going to be really under pressure to stay with Darren McNamara here on the second half of this one. Let's see how it plays out.
Well, they're off the line, and right now, no signs of Alan Hinds giving an inch to McNamara. He seems well able to keep with the pace, but can he keep with the cloud of smoke and not get lost in it? McNamara nice and wide as he fills up that outer zone for around Link ECU corner. Hinds, though, just shallowing up a little bit as he hunts down the door through the final sections. He's right there with McNamara. McNamara loses the spoiler and the bumper and everything off the wall. The car's falling to pieces, Dave.
Yeah, well, they definitely, it was just the last corner on that run. They both just threw it on the line. Hinds' transition to the wall was sensational. Darren McNamara said, you know what, I've just built this car for 2 years. Why not just have something to do in the winter and destroy the whole back end? Incredible run. Guys, give them a big round of applause, pushing extremely hard for a space in the top 16. Right here is where it starts to come alive. Watch this transition from Alan Hinds. Barely any millimeters in it, and McNamara says, see that wall? I'm having that, and just smashes it off the back and still keeps the car going. Incredible stuff, putting it all on the line, but we need a decision from our judges.
Oh, and a little bit of argy-bargy down on track as Darren McNamara helps his younger cousin out of the car.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll buff out. Looks fine. These cars designed to take a couple of impacts, but who's going to be losing and who's going to be winning? Slide him left for D-Mac, slide him right for Alan Hinds. One vote for Alan Hinds. Will he go through? Will he beat his cousin? He does! He goes to the top 16! Alan Hinds beats Darren McNamara and goes through to the top 16. And that is what a young gun in the championship, he would have looked at that draw and said, you know, that's a tough one. Guys, go back to the judges. Very good battle, a lot of fun out there, but Alan Hinds taking the win.
Yeah, great battle, Dave. Very enjoyable to watch there. Kind of comes back down. Alan has a great chase run there against Darren in the second run, but in the first run, unfortunately, Darren falls off drastically and has to make a couple of cuts to try and get back up onto Alan. He's very inside of the track, let's say, all around by outer zone 4. So by the time that he is made back up that proximity, he is bleeding points all the way around the track. When you swap the roles around, Alan gives Darren a great chase, really. Now, Darren gives Alan a great line to chase as well, and there is a couple of mistakes in the chase position, but Alan is extremely aggressive and is on Darren's door throughout the entire track, so all the way to a great finish. So Alan Hinds over both runs.
Alan Hinds gets the win, keeps his championship on track. He's still in third position in the championship in his first ever pro year, and we got to wind him back to the one more time of Colfer and Quinn. This is getting personal out there, as Colfer and Quinn couldn't get the job done the first time around. This time, though, they'll have learned a little bit, and they should be a lot closer on entry. And here we go. Look at Quinn shredding tires to stay with Colfer on the straight.
Yeah, both drivers will be looking to eradicate the mistakes of the first run this time round. Colfer sends it through the first corner. Quinn right there with him, though, Dave, as he tucks down the inside, looks for the door of Colfer. Backs off a little bit now as he loses some ground, but Colfer keeps it pinned to the outer line of that circuit, filling up that outer zone. Colfer switches it onto the door. Quinn goes hunting once again. They cross the line. Another really strong performance from these two guys, and not a whole lot of mistakes from either one.
Well, on that one especially, it looked like Quinn was getting the job done. He didn't let Colfer away. He stayed in the fight. Proximity wasn't exactly door to door, But right here, look at this, holding the angle, mirroring the lead car. Quinn doing a really good job, maybe cutting the track a little bit there to try and stay with Colfer, not going to that outer zone. But Colfer's lead run, you can't take anything away from it. That was a 90-plus run there, made no errors whatsoever. Just drops a little bit off the outer zone towards the end there. But other than that, I think it's pretty even here. I think, again, it's going to be similar to the first time these guys met just minutes ago, when Colfer now has to be aggressive. What happened the last time was, well, Colfer got left for dead off the start line, so he cannot let that happen again. Of course, he'll have learned from that error, and we should see Colfer nice and close to Kevin Quinn as they come in over the hill this time around.
Yeah, it has to be said, Quinn, though, doing a really good job maintaining constant proximity throughout the circuit. Can he replicate what Colfer did in the lead position? He needs to put down a strong lead run. Big angle, though, from Kevin Quinn through that first corner. Does Colfer have an answer? So far, he doesn't, as he shoots forward. Oh, but Kevin Quinn backs out of it, Dave.
Kevin Quinn, that was a shutdown from Kevin Quinn there. Kevin Quinn looked like he shut down, and Colfer almost making big impact with the rear end of his car. I'm not sure. Oh, it's a gearbox issue for Kevin Quinn by the looks of it. And Colfer looks across and throws his hands in the air and says, oh, that's not the way he wanted to win it. Let's see which way it goes. Kevin Quinn, Nigel Colfer have to make it official. And it is official. Nigel Colfer goes through to our top 16. Quinn bows out with gearbox failure. And it looks like he's not happy with that one, Eddie. That is an unfortunate end for him.
Yeah, unfortunate for Kevin Quinn, and it looked so good for him. We are moving on, though, to our next battle, which is a very interesting battle between a man returning to the Irish Drift Championship, Diarmuid O'Connell, and a man looking to take down the streak in Matt Carter, the 2017 British Drift Championship winner.
Yeah, so Matt Carter, he qualified phenomenally early today. Matt Carter has sort of had an up and down season. He's been pretty good in the UK Championship, but in Europe, the car has just had gremlin after gremlin. He hasn't really got a run of it. He came here this weekend, he says, I'm going to just finish this season with everybody remembering how good I am. Well, he goes up against a man who has crashed into quite some things in the last couple of years in the Irish Drift Championship and made some of the most spectacular photos, but right now, he's got to make up a spectacular amount of ground in terms of experience. As Diarmuid O'Connell in the rotary Corolla chases in Matt Carter from the UK in the Team Jap Speed R32.
Yeah, Carter sending it in through the first corner in the Jap Speed R32, pulling a big gap here as Diarmuid O'Connell just can't seem to match the pace. Can he find some speed in this car? Can he find some proximity through the latter stages? Carter, though, taking it nicely out to the wall, just about getting the rear wheel into that outer zone, as O'Connell just starts to bring the fight through the latter stages, but certainly no proximity through a vast portion of that run, Dave.
Well, if you watch the front of Matt Carter's car, it's just spitting all that anti-light, those flames out of the bonnet. He actually said that he wound this car, he said, so much up for this weekend that he's not sure if the engine will even survive that amount of boost and anti-light, but he said he's not backing down. He said this is his last second last event with the last round of the British Championship, but his last event in Ireland, last event in the Drift Masters European Championship this weekend. He said he is just winding that car up to 10 and going out there and taking names. And right there, Diarmuid O'Connell just could not match the pace whatsoever through the run.
So we switch it up, and O'Connell will become the leader, Carter to give chase, and Carter will know that he'll be chasing in a slower car, and a veteran of the sport and former champion, as we mentioned, so he will know exactly what to expect here. And will we see an attack straight from the off? Tucks in behind as O'Connell takes a nice line through the first section of the circuit. Now, can he keep this going? No, he comes offline, and backs out of it completely as Matt Carter makes the overtake. And from where I'm standing, Dave, a legal overtake from Matt Carter should mean a 10-0 advantage from him.
Absolutely.
And should see Matt Carter safely into the top 16.
Yeah, these ones are sorting themselves out now, Eddie, as the judges don't even really need to do a whole lot with that. When Diarmuid O'Connell looks like he's shut down and just straightened up as they went through to link engine management corner, and that should be job done for Matt Carter. We'll make it official from our judges. And there you have it, Matt Carter goes through to the top 16. Diarmuid O'Connell exits the competition. And of course, you can't be driving off the track and expect to get through, and Diarmuid O'Connell making that big error, costing him the victory there. Yeah, moving on to our next battle. Here's an interesting one. Two guys that have been a real, I suppose, backbone of the scene for the last couple of years. Brendan Stone, ex-Irish champion, goes up against Michael Meighan. Two very different machines, though. One, that big GS Lexus drift taxi, has 4 seats in that car. Almost a demo car, but he's out here having some fun this weekend. Brendan Stone, but qualified very high. He goes up against Michael Meighan, returning after a bit of an absence in the sport, Eddie. So he's got these guys both have a task on their hands as they come in over the hill.
Yeah, task on the hand nonetheless. Here we go. Through the first corner goes Brendan Stone. A bit of a straight line approach from Michael Meighan as he tries to bring himself back into the fight here. Brendan Stone, the former champ, on a really good outer line. Will we see an attack from Michael Meighan? Stone takes it to the wall. Just comes off that outer zone a little bit early, but Meighan unable to just really bring close proximity at any point in this around the circuit. And he'll be feeling like an opportunity lost there on that one, Dave.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's just impressing me, Brendan Stone, and how much he's sort of adapting to this car and making it work. I mean, we've seen him struggle a little bit before with this car, but it looked like to me, Meighan, even though he's much more familiar with the circuit, Stone doing a great job. And of course, Stone, a very technical driver. That's the most important. He's a real driver's driver. He's competed in multiple different types of motorsport, a champion in over 4 or 5 different motorsports. So, you know what, when the going gets rough, Brendan, a great guy at handling the pressure. He's an ex-champion. Meighan leaves a little bit of fight left in this one for the second run, but Stone looking strong for me.
Certainly Michael Meighan not out of this one by any stretch of the imagination, but he knows now as he sits on the line and gives a little wave to the camera, he knows that he needs to pull out a big qualifying run here. He needs to be perfect in the lead position and hope that Brendan Stone can't match him. Down the stretch they come as they slam through the gears. Meighan, 2 wheels inside that white line, fires through the corner. Brendan Stone now. Will he make the dive down the inside as he hunts the door of Michael Meighan? Can't get the proximity just yet. Will he make the attack now as they dive onto the walls? Not the perfect line from Michael Meighan, but not the proximity that we were expecting from Brendan Stone either.
No, and of course, Brendan, a few stone heavier in that car because obviously it is one of the heaviest cars on the grid, and that is where the lightweight chassis of Michael Meighan's R32 might just have got the advantage there. And I said Mike Meighan left some fight back in that one, and a really good job from him. Good to see him back on that kind of form in the pro class. Let's see which way the judges go. Calls being made. Slide him left for Michael Meighan, right for Brendan Stone, who's going through. Brendan Stone gets 1 vote. Will he get another? He does. He's going through to the top 16. Brendan Stone gets the win. And the drift taxi, well, it's going through to the top 16. Quickly to the judges.
Yeah, in the first round there, Brendan has a good lead line. Michael on entry is a slider. Front of the car kind of washes away as he comes towards clip 2. And from there on, he's trying to get proximity back. He never really quite gets it, just thereabouts. But that error on the first one, so 7-3 on the first one. Second one, Michael has an okay lead run. Brendan has okay proximity throughout the run. There's not much of a difference between the two, kind of 5-5 on the second one. So 7-3 to Brendan in the first.
So we move it along to our next battle, Eddie. Another one I've been looking forward to. 2 real underdogs in the sport, but this year Paul McCarthy's turned from underdog to favourite as he has beaten some of the best in the business over the last couple of years. But he goes up against John Shine now. John Shine trying to make an impression on this pro class in that grey R33 Skyline. Paul McCarthy, though, he has looked unstoppable if the car is working this year. Mechanical gremlins and a wheel coming off in Dunleary. The only thing really stopping his championship charge.
Yeah, certainly. He's poised and ready for an attack for a top 3 spot. What can he do here? Can John Shine spoil the party, though? As Shine throws it in behind McCarthy. McCarthy drops a wheel, but so far, no proximity for John Shine as he hunts down the door. McCarthy now gets that BMW settled, throws it out to the wall. Can he fill this outer zone? It looks as though he can, as Shine now starts to close the gap, but certainly Shine not able to outshined Paul McCarthy on that first run.
Nice use of the pun there in the name, like it. So Paul McCarthy, I mean, you know, we saw it at round 1. He was destined for the podium there, and he said this car has so much potential. He caught a little bit of understeer through that first corner, just about stayed on the track, and then he went back to work on the outer zones. But it is an error from McCarthy on that entry, not massive, but a little bit of understeer. Shine, though, he's not doing a bad job in the chase position, but he's starting to cut the track to try and make proximity. And the problem is when you cut it, if you don't make that proximity work, you're going to be deducted from the judges. So Shine, I would imagine, at a bit of a disadvantage here. But McCarthy will spin it around. He would love to, Paul McCarthy, come out here and beat everybody today. Just because he was left off the conversation. That's what Paul McCarthy hates. When he's left out of the conversation of who's going to win the round, he's saying, I've won more rounds than, is it 90% of the grid?
But that's the key, Dave. Look at who's left in this competition and count the names that have actually won a round of the Irish Drift Championship. And if I'm correct, I think the answer is 3, maybe 4 maximum.
Yeah, here we go as they switch him around. With John Shine in the lead position, McCarthy to chase him into that first corner.
And McCarthy is right all over the back bumper of that R33 Skyline. Look at the aggression from Paul McCarthy as he looks to put himself into a position for a top 16. But John Shine doing a nice job keeping this car right where it needs to be on the outer extremities of the circuit. They take it nice and close to the walls. McCarthy right there with John Shine as they cross the line. Mondello Park makes some noise.
Well, an interesting battle there. McCarthy looked like he had looking good. John Shine looking very good, though. Looking forward to seeing him progress through the sport. Really, really talented driver. Let's see which way the judges go, though. Slide him left for John Shine, right for Paul McCarthy. Who is going to get the win? 1 vote for McCarthy. He needs 1 more and he gets it. Top 16. That's where Paul McCarthy's going. And Paul McCarthy gets the win quickly to the judges.
Yeah, this one really all comes down to the chases. Unfortunately, and John's chase, he really just didn't bring the battle to Paul. And to try and bring that battle some bit, he did a lot of cutting, especially in outer zone 4 and outer zone 6. He was completely off the qualifying line. Paul, however, was very, very aggressive, maintained proximity the whole way throughout without having to sacrifice the qualifying line. So over the 2 runs, Paul definitely coming away with a fairly sizable advantage and taking the win overall.
There you go. Paul McCarthy takes it through to the top 16, Dave, which leaves us with 1 more spot up for grabs.
Yeah.
Peter Fiscak, Danny O'Callaghan.
How many times have we seen this battle come up?
Oh, countless.
Countless.
Yeah.
Danny O'Callaghan, Peter
Sick of watching
Fiscak.
these two.
Yeah. Rivals for years. Peter Fiscak from Poland, coming off a podium in Formula D, not just a podium, a win. He has won a Formula Drift round in Texas just 1 week ago, and now he goes head-to-head with Danny O'Callaghan, who's made a top 16 every round of the IDC this year. And look at O'Callaghan, not giving an inch on the run-in. Expect a fight here.
Yeah, O'Callaghan getting the jump off the start line. They almost make contact as they look to transition into the first corner. Perfect. Oh, O'Callaghan off circuit, dropping a wheel as he looks to try and keep the pace with Peter Fiscak. Fiscak, though, shredding up this Mondello circuit. Pinpoint accuracy as he puts the bumper of that Skyline on the wall. Danny O'Callaghan, could this be the first time that he doesn't make a top 16? Tries to bring himself back into the fight, but what about that for a lead run from Peter Fiscak, Dave?
Yeah, Peter Fiscak doing a great job there, and to be honest, his pace was what caught O'Callaghan out. He dived in late there, and O'Callaghan just caught a little understeer. Watch, just about here, just drops straight through the course. Maybe he thought he was going to make a collision there, and that was pretty much all she wrote for the first run. As Peter Fiscak trying to join the top 16, just like his international teammate James Dean. And let's just be honest, 1 week ago, James Dean was beaten by Peter Fiscak. So, well, beaten by a mechanical failure, let's be honest. But still, it's a victory all the same. And those guys sitting in first and third in the Formula Drift Championship right now. They're right here in Ireland in Mondello Park. Incredible stuff. And Danny O'Callaghan, well, he's got a few All-Ireland medals under his belt, but in a different sport, unfortunately. And O'Callaghan just coming in a little too hot there, catching an error. And that wheel drop definitely put him at a big disadvantage. Fiscak now just got to get the job done on the second run, but do not count out O'Callaghan. We've done it before to our detriment because he has got to every top 16 this year, but he may not have come up against a foe quite like Peter Fiscak. This is going to be an interesting second half of this one in the Irish Drift Championship, brought to you by Link Engine Management. We're about to go live in our top 16 at the end of this run. Let's see what happens as the start line gets ready to launch 2 cars from 2 completely different places. It will be Ireland versus Poland for a spot in the top 16.
Interestingly enough, Peter Fiscak said that he was only here for a little bit of fun, but it didn't look like fun on his face there. He looks very focused and determined to take down Danny O'Callaghan. He wants a spot in that top 16. O'Callaghan opens the door just to cool himself down. They get the go from the marshal. The second half of this one is on. O'Callaghan through the chicane. Fiscak, foot to the floor. Through the gears, over the hill, side by side. They throw their cars into this first corner. Fiscak is right there with Danny O'Callaghan. Piles on the angle to try and avoid making contact. O'Callaghan filling that outer zone, switches it back now. Fiscak appears through the smoke. O'Callaghan right out onto the wall. And Peter Fiscak joins the party. He's right there with him as they cross the line. Mondello Park, show your appreciation.
Well, you got to give it up to O'Callaghan there. Did a phenomenal job in the lead position, giving Peter Vascalis everything to chase there. Although I think it may, on this occasion, prove not enough, as the Polish driver may move through to stack up what is almost a dream top 16. So judges will make their call. Slide him right for Peter Vascalis, slide him left for Danny O'Callaghan. Which driver goes through? Dan goes for Vascalis. He needs one more to get to that top 16, and he gets it. Vascalis in the top 16.
I'm just going to say, Dave, before we go to the judges on that one, that there's a few Polish people in the crowd, and if you're here and you're Irish, this is what you have to contend with, because we have been following these guys all around Europe, and they have made some serious noise. So if you want to be the best crowd in Europe, you're going to have to outmatch these guys, and they are crazy.
Absolutely. And as they go back up, it will be the start of our top 16. It's going to be an incredible top 16. Like, it's just lined up to be a historic day for Irish drifting. Qualifying's done. Top 32 is done. This is the business end, the top 16. McKeever's already wrapped up the championship, so right now that doesn't matter. What matters now is who is the best driver in Ireland? That's what's going to be answered. Or will an international beat the best driver in Ireland and then take down a 15-year build of undefeated streaks across this country? No international drivers ever won here before. We've talked about it at end. We want it to go. I don't even want it to be a streak anymore. We want them to win. But it's been a hard task because they haven't been in their own cars. Well, every single one of those guys in the top 16 is in his own car today.
And let's just say, top 16, 4 of those drivers, international drivers. Let's take a look at some of them. We have Vascalis, we have Wang, we have Fiscak, we have Matt Carter. I mean, look, it doesn't get much more.
Give me a little statistic there. How many internationals have we left in the top 16? That's what I want to know.
4.
4?
4.
Who have we got?
We've got Armas Vascalis. Oh, sorry, 5. Mitch Lerner also there as well. An important one. Fiscak, Wang, Matt Carter.
Yes,
we have a very interesting top 16, and coupled, let's just say, a few of our Irish drivers. James Dean, he's going to be up against Calwell. Jack Shanahan's there.
I mean, there's
McBurney's
a lot of bragging rights here.
McKeever's there, Colfer's there, Shanahan's there, Hinds,
and to let you
Brendan Stone, Paul McCarthy.
Who? All of them?
All of them.
All of them. So basically, we're going to run straight through to our top 16 now. We're not even taking a break. We're ready to send the top 16 right away, and we are going to finish this thing with a winner. The big story, though, is can McKeever hold it? Can he hold 5 for 5, or will an international win it? Or will we see, James Dean, Dwayne McKeever, Conor Shanahan, Jack Shanahan? What's going to happen? This is the one I've been watching, because Ryan Calwell, he's been rising so fast in this championship that James Dean cannot get too complacent here. Calwell has the machine, if not an almost identical machine to Dean. He's rising. He's got no foot in this championship. He has nothing to lose. But if he takes out James Dean here, the whole world's going to know who Ryan Calwell is. That's what's about to happen right now. Mondello, are you still with me? Here we go. Dean to lead in Calwell as they come up over the hill and through the gears, and Calwell losing a little bit of ground.
Yeah, and a big entry there from James Dean as he fires it through the first corner. Calwell, 4 wheels off. Calwell goes ploughing. And unfortunately for Ryan Calwell, the occasion possibly getting to him, unable to match the pace of James Dean. And while he's one of the hottest rising young talents that we have, it's another level going up against these big guns, Dave. And I think Calwell just got an eye-opener there as to what level he needs to be at to try and compete at the highest level. But he is certainly only growing in stature, and I think just getting a little bit caught out by the occasion this time around.
Yeah, well, Dean's car is set up perfectly. I mean, that thing just rips around that first corner. Calwell, I think he lost that gap on the run down the straight, and when he lost that gap, instantaneously, Ryan Calwell's brain is going, if I'm not on James Dean by the end of this corner, this whole thing is over. So he's dived late into the corner. Well, the angle just doesn't work there. If you dive very, very shallow on that corner, it pushes you wide off into the grass, and that's exactly what happened.
So Calwell having a quick word with our marshal, and Marshall just having a quick check over that car just to see.
Yeah, he lost a lot of what we call the fancy bits. the splitters, the side skirts, things like that, they're all somewhere scattered in the grass now. But hopefully the car is 100% good to go. They'll give it a little check over. Guys, as he goes back up, he's only 16 years of age. Give him a big round of applause for Ryan Calwell. A big task going up against the world champion, and we call him world champion because, well, technically he's kind of half the world champion because he's US and Europe, but it's enough of the world to call him a world champion. And I suppose if you haven't ever lost the championship you've ever entered, you kind of can, well, I mean, not that James Dean would declare himself the best in the world, that's not James' nature, but I'm going to declare him the best in the world because every time someone says he hasn't, he's going to beat them. So that's how it works. And I think today, that's going to be easing across the grid. They know who he is, what he's all about. That's going to be a tricky task for them, especially for youngsters like Ryan Calwell. They see their name in lights. They see the big headline tomorrow. Calwell beats Dean. Who's this Calwell guy? And that's what they're aiming for. And I think they almost psych themselves out by overdriving the cars, and that can happen quite often.
Yeah, look, and you know, from talking to James Dean at numerous events as well, one thing that that doesn't escape you is he never looks beyond the current task at hand. He never looks at where I have to finish in the round. It's always, well, what's my next task? Okay, I have to go out and qualify. Where do I want to qualify first? He goes and does it. And then it doesn't become about winning the event. It becomes about beating the person that is in front of him. And if you continue to do that, you will win the event. And that's exactly what James Dean does 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, so removing the front bumper from Ryan Calwell's car, they're just saying it's just not held on correctly. Doesn't want anything to go wrong here on the second run. He's at a big disadvantage at this point, and James Dean will be the favourite here to move on to the Grade 8. But you know what? As he buckles himself in there, he says, "I've got one more shot at this, and it's drifting, so anything can happen."
Yeah, look, you can talk about just how good James Dean is, but we have seen him come over this hill in the past and have it all go wrong through that first corner. We've seen him drop wheels, go off track at that third clipping zone, so this one is far from over by any means. However, he does have a very sizable advantage. He is in the chase position. He knows that he can just hold back and drive the car at 70%, and he will be true to the Grade 8. He knows he doesn't need to force the issue here against Calwell. Calwell with it all to do in the lead position. He needs to find some magic as the marshal takes the bonnet off the car now. Calwell moves to the line. We are almost ready for the second half of this one. Can Ryan Calwell take it to a one more time with the best in the business? Here we go. Calwell leaves the line. Dean right there with him. Calwell through the chicane. They slam it through the gears and over the hill, through the first corner, side by side. The machine is right there with Calwell. Calwell almost dropping a wheel, but gets back into it. James Dean, door to door, almost wheel to wheel, transitions perfectly behind Calwell and appears through the smoke as they throw it onto the wall. Dean not holding back an inch here as he pushes Ryan Calwell across the line. Guys, give it up for the young gun, Ryan Calwell.
Yeah, Calwell with his hand out the window, he was enjoying that one. He said, look, not often you get to run with the world champ, and this occasion I don't think he's done enough, but in the future I think Ryan Calwell will keep climbing that ladder, and James Dean will see him soon enough. James Dean gets the win and goes to the top 8. James is in the top 8, Calwell eliminated, and that is the present and the future of Irish drifting having an embrace on the track there. Good to see. I mean, I remember the days when James Dean was the 16-year-old out there trying to take down the big names. That's how it works. Next up, though, this is an interesting one. 2 Cork men come to the line, Jack Shanahan and Dennis Murphy.
Yeah, the big thing here is whether or not Dennis Murphy's car is working 100% after that impact with Stephen Biaggioni. Certainly a very scrappy second half to that battle after he took the 10-0 advantage. Now, Jack Shanahan, though, has looked very strong this weekend. Took down Lee Scott after a one more time, and they are set to leave the line. Shanahan to lead them in. Dennis Murphy, though, will be looking to take down one of the biggest names in Irish drifting. They appear over the hill. Shanahan dials on big angle, pulls the gap over Dennis Murphy. Murphy, though, off circuit. Dave dropping a couple of wheels, 4 wheels off for Murphy.
But he stays in and off the track and loses a tyre as he comes off. Oh, and that's all she wrote for Dennis Murphy on the first half of this one. What was impressive was that when he was in the grass, he didn't even come off the throttle. He stayed on the throttle, transitioned on the grass, and then decided to try go back on the track. If that doesn't sum up Dennis Murphy's never say die attitude, I don't know what will. Watch this, he comes through, he's made an error just here, just washes too wide, but he stays on throttle, transitions almost in the grass, goes back onto the track, and then the tire comes off the rim, and then Jack Shannon says, I'll take that one. So remember, if Jack Shannon was to win this one, he would go up against James Dean in the top 8. So if that is what's to happen, I'm not counting out Dennis Murphy by any means at the moment, but if that was to happen, he would have the current European champion and last year's Irish champion going head-to-head. And let's just let you know what, in Japfest terms, they're 1-1 right now.
Yeah, and those two guys have, appeared against each other in finals, and Jack has managed to take a scalp on James Dean. So, and that's a couple of years ago, Dave. So you'd be looking at Jack Shannon saying, "I've done a lot of driving since then. I've improved a lot since then, and right now you may be the hottest property in worldwide drifting, but I'm coming for you."
Well, it's also important to remember that if we do see that eventuality, and I'm not saying it just, as I said, with Dennis Murphy on a 10-0 from the first run, I'm just presuming, that's all I'm saying. It could be a case that, Shanahan has beaten Dean here, Dean has beaten Shanahan, but they've both kind of separated after that, gone off and won their own individual things. Both are competing in Europe. Better year, obviously, for Dean in that regard, but Shanahan knows that he can beat him on this track. That's going to be, and he's not afraid of him. That's the one thing Jack Shanahan will say, well, I can't win the championship today. That's irrelevant. If I beat James Dean, though, I'm back in the conversation for, am I one of the best drivers in Europe? And that's what he's going to be thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And the important thing for Jack Shanahan at the moment as well is that he is driving well on this circuit. He seems comfortable in the car. We haven't seen him look comfortable in this car in a long time, and he will be feeling as though, going into this battle, potential battle, that you know what, James Dean doesn't have the advantage over me.
What I'm actually looking forward to now is the next battle. Is two guys that I've grown in both sides of the pond, in Ireland and the UK. Two guys that I just cannot. You know when people go out to practice and you sort of want to walk away, but then you kind of look back and say, "Nah, I got to watch all these runs. Something's going to happen." Vascalis and Mitch Lerner are two guys that could make anything happen on track. They literally would be unpredictable from the start. Had two very different machine setups, but two wild driving styles. It's definitely going to be a smoke show, and that's coming up next. As Dennis Murphy, I would imagine, calls a 5-minute rule here to go back in and get a tire on rims and get back out for the second half of his battle.
Yeah, and so far this weekend, Dennis Murphy just can't avoid the drama, and that car, this is the second time that this will be limping its way back into the pits.
Yeah, Dennis Murphy, he's been in the wars today. Collisions with Steve Banksy Biagioni, now off into the grass. And you know what was funny? Yesterday in the pits, Eddie, this is a true story. I was walking by Dennis Murphy's pit area, and his sponsor, Megaspec, they make all those cool splitters and all the stuff for the cars, all the arches, all that stuff. And I said to him, "Dennis, your car is absolutely perfect. You're never going to keep your sponsor for next year because you have all the stuff already on the car. It's perfect." Well, lo and behold, Dennis Murphy came out today and broke every piece off the car. So the guys from Megaspec will be back busy again for the winter, trying to make that thing look 100%. And Dennis, as we mentioned before, he's full of wildfire. He gets out there and it's aggression. It's all about trying to win by any means necessary, and often that can overcook it and end up in the grass or the gravel. But the transition in the grass, that's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah, probably the best in the business at doing that grass transition is Dennis Murphy now. He's
one of the few drivers out there that's capable of transitioning a 600 horsepower car in the grass at about 60 miles an hour. Phenomenal stuff from Dennis Murphy. So we're moving along. This is the one I've been building up for. This is the one that's going to probably make the entirety of Mondello Park disappear. It is Mitch Lerner, the Thunder from Down Under, going up against Vascalis from Lithuania. There's going to be roughly, I'm going to go out there and say about 1,500 horsepower to 1,600 horsepower coming up over the hill. Two international drivers going head to head. Two guys that love to get crazy on entries. There's going to be a lot of smoke. This one is in the balance. Lithuania versus Australia here in Ireland. Who would have predicted it? As they come off the line, it is the Thunder from Down Under, Mitch Lerner to lead in. Vascalis. Look at Vascalis right there.
Yeah, Vascalis right on the door and rear bumper of Mitch Lerner, but now gets lost in the smoke. And we talk about Vascalis being the one to cloud out the arena, but right now the Thunder from Down Under shredding those Destino tires, throws it onto the wall as Vascalis looks to get himself back into this one. Goes to the door of Mitch Lerner and pushes Lerner across the line.
Yeah, a little bit of a sketchy start, but a strong finish from both of these guys. We want, as they pass in front of you, give them a big round of applause. Traveling all the way from Australia and Lithuania to be here this weekend. You guys have only come, what, an hour, 2 hours down the road? That guy has traveled 5 times this year, over 24 hours traveling at time. So I don't even know how he's awake right now. It's probably, what, 3 in the morning or something in Australia, so he doesn't know what time of the day it is anymore.
Eucalyptus leaves, I believe, is what gives him his energy and his special powers.
And koalas and kangaroo meat, and yeah, stereotypes on top of stereotypes, yeah. Got it. And home and away, of course. Strong helpings of home and away. Just keep you nice and alert during the event. You'll often see him catching, just in the pits, catching up. Vascalis just about staying on the track there in the chase position. He was very lucky.
I mean, from a judging perspective, very difficult to even determine where he was with that cloud of smoke. Thumbs up there from Mitch Lerner. He knows that that is one step closer. The championship hopes are gone, Dave, but right now he wants to lay it down against the best in the world. And if he could meet James Dean later on in the semi-final, Cone knocked, as you say, Dave, and Vascalis leaves the line. Judges will be watching that one. Mitch goes hunting for the door straight away, side by side through the first corner. Look at this! Unbelievable stuff from Mitch Lerner as he just goes door to door, so aggressive against Vascalis. Vascalis stays in it though. They switch it out onto the wall. Vascalis filling that outer zone, but Lerner right there with him all the way till the end. Mondello Park, make some noise.
That is what it's all about, Eddie Power. That is what it's all about. Door to door. That is the most risky entry we've seen all day on the inside of the course. And Lerner surely should have made contact, but he kept it together. Grandstand, give it up for Lerner and Vascalis.
That one went from naught to wild very fast, Dave.
Yeah, but we need to find a winner. Vascalis versus Lerner. Who is going to make it through to the top 8? 1 vote for Lerner, 2 Lerners going to the top 8. Mitch Lerner gets it. We throw it back to the judges. What about that? He risked it all and he was rewarded.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic chase run there by Mitch. Absolutely on Aramis's door from initiation point, and stayed there even. And you could even see, if you look closely, Aramis actually had to slow just coming up to outer zone 3. He looked, I think he thought he was maybe going off, and Mitch dealt with it absolutely perfectly. Stayed on his door and just backed off enough to stay with him. For the first run, Mitch had a fantastic lead as well, and Aramis made a major understeer between clipping point 2 and 3, so he came away with a disadvantage from that one. Over the 2 runs, Mitch just being the far superior driver and coming away with the win.
So there you have it. Mitch Lerner moves on to the Grade 8 and 1 step closer to a potential Final 4 battle with James Dean. Could we see that later on? But we've got some more business to take care of before that. Forrest Wang, Mark McBurney, another one that we're sick of seeing.
This is just Mr. Style versus Mr. Style right now. Forrest Wang, all big angle. Mark McBurney, all big angle. This is what we want to see. Where would it ever happen in world drifting that Mark McBurney and Forrest Wang would both go into a run against each other? This is going to be crazy. Take your phones out for this one, because we are going to see some angle on track, I'm sure, in this one. It will be McBurney to chase in Wang. Wang hits a cone as they come down the straight. And look at this, McBurney, big entry and no proximity from McBurney there whatsoever.
No proximity, but big angle from both drivers through the first corner. McBurney goes 4 wheels off, Dave. McBurney goes 4 wheels off. Lost in the cloud of smoke and certainly lost some ground at the start line, and we saw that cone being hit by Forrest Wang, and it takes us back to the briefing this morning where the judges said if there's a cone hit, it'll certainly give us something to talk about.
But this is just what I'm thinking about, what the judges might be looking at. Yes, Forrest Wang sort of jumps it a little bit, hits that cone, moves it over, doesn't knock it over. Here's what I'm thinking about. I think McBurney would have not got deducted at any time for that lack of proximity, but going off the track then and taking 4 wheels off, that's what he shouldn't have done. If he had got on the inside of the corner, maybe there was a gap there. I think they could have looked at Forrest Wang and said, hey, you know what, he would have got a deduction, or his gap essentially that he got ahead of McBurney would have been discounted, but you can't go 4 wheels off the track. That's an automatic 0. So I think that's probably the way the judges are going to call it. That's just based on what I know from the rules and criteria. So McBurney had a shot there, but just got lost, as you said, in that smoke cloud. He didn't even know where the edge of the track was, as far as I could tell, and drops it into the dirt. So Forrest Wang probably taking a 10-0 advantage. That's an estimation for my part. I'm not saying it's fact, but that's what I would be deducting from one car being off the track, Eddie, and one being on it. That's as simple as it gets. So McBurney now in the lead position, Wang in the chase, but they won't know how it's gone down. They won't know what the judges have thought. They will go back at it again as McBurney now leads in Wang. Wang has the horsepower to stay with McBurney here and should do.
Yeah, should be able to match McBurney, but can he match him for angle as McBurney fires it in through the first corner with almost backwards entry. Right now though, Wang hanging back. McBurney goes 4 wheels off and Wang makes the overtake. The kitty litter for Mark McBurney, and Wang vapes his way towards the start line.
Yeah, absolutely no issues there, and I think if there was any argument after the first run, the second run would have concluded that argument, as Mark McBurney is buried into the gravel trap, meaning I think we should see judges lean on the side of Forrest Wang. Guys, give Forrest Wang a big round of applause, shipping a car all the way from the United States to be here in front of you guys this weekend. But will he be going to the top 8? Have the judges spotted something we haven't? It looks like we were right, Eddie. Forrest Wang goes through to the top 8 and stacks up the grid. 2 10-0s against Mark McBurney, and that's him out of competition. While we have a moment, I would like to thank all of our incredible sponsors here at the Irish Drift Championship. Without them, it would not be possible, especially our title sponsor, Link Engine Management. If you guys are watching at home, the only reason you can see any of this is because of those names on your screen. They are the ones providing this to you guys for free at home, and they are, of course, Link Engine Management, Monster Energy, Mobil One Oil, Brian James Trailers, Group D, JDM Distro, Zestino Tires UK, Samco Sport, Simpson Race Products. We had a great meeting with Meighan and the guys about all the safety regulations being improved on the Simpson end of things. M-Tech Brakes, the industry leader in brake technology, and VP Racing Fuels, and of course mixedgarage.com, those guys. And just while we recover Mark McBurney from the gravel, it's not over yet, Eddie. We have some more events left in this calendar season, and they are kicking off next weekend. We've got together with Supermax and the Plaza Group because we are going on a Drift Games tour of the country. Some of the best drivers in the business will be taking part in head-to-head competitions starting next weekend in the Barack Obama Plaza. Then we head to Galway in the Galway Plaza, and then October 14th we're in Tipperary Town Plaza. Those 3 events from 12 to 4 on a Sunday, free entry for everybody. Come in and have some fun with us. We're giving away a lot of prizes, passenger rides, and having a little competition. And then we move on to the big end of season finale, the Drift Games Bash, in conjunction with Club Loose Ireland. We're creating a Meighan layout in the pits, 4 different variations. I've never been a practice day like it in the history of Ireland. That's going down on October 28th and 29th. Driver entries open Wednesday, and public tickets go on sale next Friday. That's what's coming up for the rest of the year after we finish things this weekend and we get towards the business end of the finale here of the Irish Drift Championship, and then head on to the finale of the Drift Masters European Championship tomorrow. Can you imagine 22 countries represented on the grid? All the favourites, top 8 in the championship from the Irish Drift Championship, go up against 22 nations. They are all champions in their own regard from different national series. They've travelled from Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, you name it, they're coming from it. This is the best and biggest event in the history of Irish drifting. Tomorrow is a sellout. Both grandstands done, dusted. Go get your tickets. They're outside the gate at 3, 4, 20 times the price because everybody wants to see what's going down. We were promised a hurricane tomorrow, and even God himself said, look, just leave that till next week. We want to see what happens at this final. So it's going to be a good day tomorrow. We got 700 show cars in Mondello Park for the Jaffest Performance Show. It is going to be the biggest day in Irish automotive history. But right now, one of the biggest days for the Irish Drift Championship because it is the finale. McKeever, Eddie, call it. Can he do it? 5 for 5? I mean, it's never been done before.
Yeah, look, I'm looking at the run, that his potential run here. He's got to come up against Nigel Colfer and take him down, and certainly he'll look at Nigel Colfer as a man that he's not going to take too lightly. Colfer has a lot of experience. Can Dwayne beat him? Of course he can. But can Colfer beat Dwayne? Absolutely. If he comes through that battle unscathed, Conor Shanahan or Alan Hinds awaits. You're talking about Alan Hinds, sits in 3rd position in the championship. He's got a lot to fight for. He's only after taking down his cousin Darren McNamara, a veteran of the sport.
I'm just sorry. I was listening, and then I glanced over a little bit. Is Mitch Lerner going up against Forrest Wang in the top 8?
He absolutely is.
That's happening.
That's happening
in Ireland.
In Ireland.
Wang and Lerner.
An Australian and a Hawaii man living in Las Vegas.
In Ireland.
In their own cars.
In their own cars.
In a V8 and a 2JZ.
Right, I mean, if you're a drift fan, I mean, this is dream stuff. This is fantasy football. This doesn't even happen. And then we're saying that we have McKeever and Colfer McCalfer's won everything there is to win. McKeever is trying to go for a perfect run. Am I looking at the gaming challenge here? Have we Connor Shanahan and Alan Hinds going up against each other?
You are, yes.
Two guys that spend all week on the simulators are going to come up against each other in the real world?
You're looking at a former British Drift Championship winner coming up against a former Irish Championship winner. You're looking up against a former round winner in Paul McCarthy coming up against Peter Fiscak.
Who just won a round of FD.
Who just run around with FD.
That's all happening still?
It's all just basic stuff, yeah.
This is not normal. Is this normal?
Standard, yeah.
I mean, you can watch this and be numb and be like on the internet smashing your head off the keyboard saying, oh, he won. But really, this is happening in Ireland. This country has 4.5 million people. The same population as Manchester.
And if you're bashing your keyboard, you're missing it out.
We're going back to let's get this underway, Eddie. Let's stop talking. We got Mark McBurney's gone, and now we are ready to go to the start line. It's going to be back to Jack Shanahan versus Dennis Murphy. The second half of this battle, we saw Dennis Murphy try and do a Mario Kart shortcut across the track. Doesn't count in drifting though. If you're a Mario Kart shortcut, you can't do it here. He actually then slipped on the banana, tire came off. That's what happened. But what's happening in the second half of the run? Well, Jack Shanahan is going way over the top aggressive here.
Yeah, Shanahan knows that if he goes through this one, Dave, he's got James Dean, so he's going to get some close door-on-door practice in as Dennis Murphy washes wide, loses a couple of wheels off the outer extremity of the circuit. They switch it back onto the wall. And Dennis Murphy takes it across the line. Shanahan not far away, but Shanahan with that 10-0 advantage, he knows that that's enough as they cross the line and take this one.
Yeah, I mean, Shanahan, I think you're right what you said, Ed. I think he's trying to look for a little bit of experience in door-on-door action because he knows what's up ahead of him, and he's got to get in the zone very quickly. We'll make it official, though. Guys, round of applause for Jack Shanahan and Dennis Murphy. Guys, hit him with a wall of sound from the grandstand. So, slide him left for Murphy, right for Jack Shanahan, who's going through to our top 8. And there you have it, it's official. Jack Shanahan gets the win. And he's going through to the top 8 to take on his mentor, James Dean. That's just one battle in top 8, casual. Next up, it's Lerner versus Wang. That's another casual one there thrown in. Did we promise the best drift event in Ireland of all time? Have we not already delivered by just writing those names on on a piece of paper? That's literally the reality right now.
Yep.
Now, McKeever and Colfer, two guys who are not accustomed to bowing out early in any competition in Ireland, will go head to head. Similar horsepower, similar machinery, except RB under the bonnet of Dwayne McKeever's car. The pressure on McKeever now against a man that makes very little mistakes. This could be one of the toughest battles McKeever's had all year, and he has to win it to stay in the fight for that perfect 5 for 5. And they're off the line, McKeever and Colfer, and Colfer's going from here.
Yeah, Colfer coming forward. He'd love to take a little bit of McKeever blood. Can he do that side by side? And they fire through that first corner. McKeever on a great line. Colfer throws it in beside him, door to door, as they come around by Link Engine Management corner. This one's hot. No, but perfect transition from Colfer. Colfer loses a little bit of ground, but gets back into it. McKeever just comes off the outer zone a little early, but pinpoint accuracy from both drivers, and as they cross the line, Dave, it is like a final every time we see a pass from these drivers.
Well, every battle from this point on now is going to be a final. I mean, we've seen most of these battles in a final at some point, except for the Mitch Lerner and Wang thing. That just shouldn't happen at any point. But this, for me, is Colfer doing what he does best. No errors. Doesn't get overly excited. Doesn't say, this is the guy that's just won 8 rounds. It doesn't matter to Colfer. He says there's no point in eliminating himself from the competition. However, McKeever's pace, we've talked about it for 8 rounds this year. He is so fast around this layout. And Colfer got caught a little bit by that, but very much still in the fight. McKeever still with a lot of pressure. So now Dwayne goes into that chase position knowing a good run here will not win him the battle. It has to be exceptional.
Well, he has to have the proximity the entire way around the circuit, because certainly Colfer had moments where he dropped off just a little bit, but in terms of overall proximity, certainly maintained it very well. Now,
well, this is for all the marbles. I mean, every one of these is for McKeever. He's already got the championship. He's already the champion. Now he's got to prove it against every Irish superstar that has left these shores and now come back. Colfer leads them in. McKeever to follow. Has McKeever got what it takes here?
Well, right now he's certainly on the back bumper of Colfer, hunting down the door, side by side through the first corner. Colfer comes offline, misses the third outer zone. Can he get back in it? McKeever right there, side by side as they come around, are switching it back. They look to take it to the wall, right out to the extremities, but McKeever's right there with him. McKeever hunts the door one last time. Little between them as they cross the line. Mondello Park, show your appreciation.
That's close. That is close. McKeever a little stronger on the finish. Oh, guys, that is what it's all about. Top drawer drifting. These two Irish boys representing us not only in the UK but across the whole of Europe. Give it up for Dwayne McKeever and Nigel Colfer. Come on, guys, give him a wall of sound. This one is in the books, but who's going to take it home? We wait for our judges. I mean, this is just inch perfect from both of these guys.
I'm going to say, go out on a limb here and say I wouldn't be surprised to see this one go one more time, Dave. The judges still discussing this one, and if you go side by side those two runs, there was not a whole lot in it. In terms of proximity, neither driver looked to have a real advantage. We're about to find out, though.
Oh, we have a decision. A decision is in. Slide him left for Nigel Colfer, right for Dwayne McKeever. One vote for Dwayne McKeever. Two, McKeever is going to the top 8, still undefeated. Judges, that was a great battle.
Absolutely fantastic battle there, and it really all comes down to splitting hairs. When you compare lead to lead, Dwayne had a fantastic lead run, and so did Nigel. The only thing that we could mark Nigel down in his lead run is he was slightly off outer zone 3, which we say is a very, very critical outer zone. Nigel had a fantastic chase. He had good proximity the whole way throughout, but he just didn't have the wow factor that Dwayne had. As soon as that Dwayne initiated, he was right on Nigel's door and stayed there for the entirety of the run. He just came away with a little bit more proximity than Nigel, and that's really what it all came down to. And Dwayne takes the win.
So Dwayne stays undefeated. This is going to be interesting. Two guys that spend all their week just playing Assetto Corsa virtual reality stuff. These guys have battled probably 700,000 laps in the virtual world, but now they go up against each other in the real world. These guys fought it out for the Pro-Am Championship last year, and right now they're here at the biggest show of them all to show everybody here that the future of Irish drifting is bright. Alan Hinds to chase in Conor Shanahan as they come up over the hill. This one is going to get very, very heated.
Very heated indeed, and Shanahan takes the nice line through the first corner. Now big dive onto the door. Oh, but Alan Hinds has to back out of it, Dave. He went really aggressive through it onto the door, then backs out of it. Now he goes hunting for it once again, but Shanahan looking strong out front. Proximity from Hinds towards the end, but a big, big error from him.
How did Alan Hinds not make contact there? It didn't even make physical sense. He went at such speed to the door of Conor Shanahan, but I think that's what cost him. He had to back out of it. Guys, two young guns in the championship. Give them a big round of applause as they pass you. These are kids, ladies and gentlemen, kids out there doing this. I can't even do this on the Xbox, and they're out here doing this for real. Big dive from Alan Hinds there, Eddie, and it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, as you say, look, it's not that long since these two guys were battling it out in the Pro-Am category, but since then Conor Shanahan has taken down James Dean, and Alan Hinds has completed a very successful rookie year in the pro class in the Irish Drift Championship, sitting in third position going into this one. Important, valuable points up for grabs here if he can take it through to the grade 8, but it looked from where I'm standing that he makes a mistake by going overly aggressive. Conor Shanahan looking very steady in that lead position.
Absolutely, and it looks like Alan Hinds is banging the window. He says he's ready for this one, so is Conor Shanahan. And it looks like we are away and running here as Alan Hinds comes through the chicane. Conor Shanahan right with him. He's got the advantage here. He doesn't need to be too aggressive, but try telling a 15-year-old
yeah,
that.
Shanahan all over the back bumper. That 14 throws it down the inside as he hunts down Alan Hinds, trying to force an error from the Pro Drift Academy driver. And they come out of link engine management corner. Nice little switchback, throw it deep onto the wall. There is Alan Hinds, but look at Shanahan, wheel to wheel, door to door as they cross the line. Clinic from Conor Shanahan.
Didn't even need it, didn't even need to do it. Just had the advantage, said, you know, I want to get some practice in here. Conor Shanahan looks primed and ready for that top 8 now, because he has got to go up against none other than Dwayne McKeever if he wins this one. It is stacking up here. But is it the obvious choice from the judges? Slide him left for Hinds, right for Shanahan. There you have it. Conor Shanahan goes through to the top 8. Alan Hinds bows out. Pretty obvious one there, Eddie. Obviously, Alan Hinds shutting down pretty badly on the first run, and that was all she wrote for him. But at the same time, I don't think too many of his championship contenders are still left in the competition. He may still hold on to third position. So, Matt Carter, Brendan Stone, one an ex-UK champion, the other an ex-Irish champion, in two very different machines, but they both have the same engine. So 2.2JZ Toyota engines under the bonnet, but one in a big old Lexus and the other in a North 32 Skyline. And these guys, they've been around the block quite a bit. They'll know each other's style, they'll know what they're all about. This is going to be a good, clean battle. I would worry for Stone's pace here because Carter's car is like a rocket today.
Yeah, and I think that could be the difference maker here as Carter leaves the line. Weight transfer entry, nice from him. A little bit of a waiver though from Brendan Stone as he looks to try and keep pace here with the 2017 British Drift champion. Carter now keeps it pinned to that outer line. Stone has to deviate from the line just to try and keep the proximity. They fire it deep onto the wall and Carter looking unfazed. Stone brings the proximity just through the latter stages, Dave.
Incredible stuff, and I'm just looking at the way it's stacking up here. I mean, if Carter was to go through here, start to push a lot of those internationals into the top 8, Stone's going to have work to do on the second runner. You can see him shaking his head, just not quite happy with the run, but they got a second half of this one to go. I mean, Carter's car is so fast out there, looking incredible, and he's been on it from the start of qualifying practice. Carter's looked a different beast this weekend.
Yeah, he's looked good here this weekend, Dave, and he knows that he has tomorrow's competition to look forward to here as well, but he's been on these Irish shores in the past, and he would like nothing more than to take down that streak. In terms of a championship, he won't be taking one home in BDC or in the European Championship this year, but what would it mean to him to take down the Irish on their home soil? Could he take down James Dean or Dwayne McKeever in the final? Could he take 15 years of an undefeated streak? Well, he's got to go through a former Irish Championship winner first. What can Stone do this time around? Nice entry from Brendan Stone. Perfect through this first section. Carter right there with him though. Will Carter try and formulate an attack? He certainly will as he looks for the door of that big Lexus GS. Stone nailing the qualifying line. Carter though just won't be shaken. Tucks down the inside. They go door to door and Carter showing what he's made of as he crosses the line. You gotta say, Dave, advantage to the UK driver.
I'm not going to say what's happening right now on the battle grid, but it's looking very interesting. Brendan Stone just explodes flames from the front and rear end of the car. Guys, give it up for Matt Carter and Brendan Stone. Look at the machinery in front of you right now. That is insane building right now. Results coming in though. Stone and Carter. Who's going through to the top 8? Matt Carter gets 1 vote, 2, and he's going to the top 8. UK are into the top 8 here at the final of the Irish Drift Championship, brought to you by Link Engine Management. Quickly back to the judges. Great battle there.
Yeah, Dave, absolutely great to see battles like that, Dave. Matt has a fantastic lead run and Brendan has a fantastic lead run. Both have great chase runs, like there's no cutting of the track, absolutely superb, but just separation throughout by Brendan, unfortunately. He wasn't able to close the door quite as much as Matt did, so Matt takes the battle overall.
So that leaves us with one battle remaining in the top 16, and this is Poland versus Ireland.
And the man that can knock Alan Hinds off that third position in the championship order is Paul McCarthy. Can he take down though the Polish driver and the man fresh off of the top step of the podium, Peter Fiscak? He's here in his own car and he is here to cause some trouble, Dave.
Yeah, Fiscak has now got to chase McCarthy here closely because McCarthy is one of those drivers you do not want to underestimate. And look at Fiscak all over the back bumper on entry.
Yeah, Peter Fiscak all over Paul McCarthy. He's going to try and cause as much of a problem for McCarthy. He won't care that McCarthy is a former winner here at the Irish Drift Championship, but McCarthy sticking to his guns, staying nice and wide, takes it to the wall, but he just can't shake the threat of Peter Fiscak, who tries to force the issue as they cross the line. A very, very hard-fought battle there.
Well, I'm just going to, I'm looking at it from a different perspective just for a moment. You've got a man out there at a BMW that has built that car himself on his own in a small garage in Tipperary, right? He's gonna build that car on his own, top to bottom. The only thing someone has ever done to that car is put a map on it or tuned it. That's it. Every arm he's built himself, nothing aftermarket, built it all, welded it all. And for the last couple of years, he's been the man championing that style of you can do it on a budget. You don't have to be going out there. And then he goes up against the man that's third position in the Formula Formula Drift Championship right now. And he almost, I'm not going to say does, but a little bit outpaces Peter Wojciech on that first run. Going to show, Paul McCarthy has said that he has never spent more than €5,000 or €6,000 a year on drifting ever. He said that's his budget, he sticks to it, and he does what he can with it. He couldn't just take down the man that won Formula Drift last weekend in his own car from Poland. That could happen right now, but Wojciech, he's going to be fast off the line here. McCarthy, look at this, jumping off the line. He's not going to let him away here, Eddie.
Yeah, certainly McCarthy looking to get that jump nice and early and try and keep pace here with Peter Fiscak.
Oh!
Contact! Wheel-to-wheel contact, but they stay in it, Dave. Unbelievable stuff from both drivers.
How are they staying going here? They've had contact on entry and they're still in the game. McCarthy not letting it go.
McCarthy like a dog with a bone all over the back of Peter Fiscak. Fiscak throws it onto the wall, insane angle, loses the lights off the wall. McCarthy stays with him, a real dogfight. Mondello, on your feet.
What was that? No. We're only in the top 16. Grandstand up on your feet. That was insane. Everybody on your feet, both grandstands up on your feet. When they get out of the car, I want to get just a massive noise for these two gentlemen. Guys, give it up for Paul McCarthy and Peter Wojciech. What the hell was that, Eddie?
Holy cow.
Those bumpers, they hit the
Look at the replay, Dave. I mean, it was just insane throughout. Somebody tell them, you know, you got to save this for the finals. We need cars in the finals.
It's the top 16, Eddie. I'm losing my voice. It's the top 16. Look at this. McCarthy's
wheel to wheel. He's on 3 wheels, Dave, possibly 2, down the straight at 60 plus miles per hour. Imagine hitting another car on the motorway at 60 miles an hour and saying, you know what? Let's just keep going.
I've often jumped my car at 60 miles an hour on the motorway, and you know I'm absolutely fine with it. And look, he just goes, and away we go. Like,
I think it helped him initiate.
Incredible stuff, guys. Once again, a big round of applause for Paul McCarthy and Peter Wojciech. Where would you get it? Only the Irish Drift Championship.
Can we just put them both through?
I'm going to put both through. That's my plan. Both are going to go. So we're going to have a top 9. And we'll just have 3 cars in a battle or something. We'll figure it out later on.
I'm just going to send a message to Matt Carter at the moment just to say, you're facing one of these guys in the grade 8, and you better be on it.
I mean, this is... I mean, I've never seen anything. I mean, even the way it's stacking up right now, I've never even seen anything like this in the Irish Drift Championship. It's absolutely incredible right now. Well, we have to find a winner. The judges having a good conversation on this one. And McCarthy, look at this. He's 3 wheels. This is 60 miles an hour. I'll just have a little jump, and then I'll just keep going. It's not even going to affect me too much. I'm going to go back in.
That is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. For the run not to end at that point is just phenomenal. It's nothing short of mesmerizing how both those drivers stayed in that, Dave. Crazy.
You can see Paul McCarthy. I mean, these two guys are probably the least serious guys that have ever stepped foot in drift cars when they're outside of a drift car. But that was a pretty serious battle right there. And I have no idea what the judges are going to call here.
Can we just watch that for the rest of the day?
Yeah. I think we should do 8 one more times with these guys. Oh, it's coming in. Results are in. Slide him left for Wojciech, right for Paul McCarthy. Kieran says one more time. We're going one more time! Oh, I can't take any more of this, Eddie. I can't.
I'm literally shaking, but we got to go to the judges. What a battle!
We'll go for one more time just because we want to see it go again. Absolutely awesome driving there by both drivers. Fantastic lead line. So it all really comes down to the chasing. There was fairly significant contact and initiation, but it didn't really affect Peter's line. So if you take that, if you don't take that into account, Paul had definitely a better chase than Peter. More proximity the whole way throughout, and definitely finished stronger. But we have to take that contact into account. So if Paul had an advantage, disregarding that contact then we just subtract a couple of points for it. So that kind of brings it back to even. From the first run then, Piotr's chase was very, very good, but he did have a couple of errors, so he didn't actually come away with an advantage, and that was even as well. So over the 2 runs, both drivers absolutely even, nothing to separate, and we have to see him go one more time.
Okay, I'm going to make a bet. I'm going to make a bet right now. Big bet.
Let's have it.
We're moving into the top 8. I'm going to make a bet with the grandstand, an actual personal bet, that this is going to be the greatest finale of a drift event ever. So what I'm going to get you guys to do is everybody in the grandstand stands up, and if one of these battles doesn't deliver, you can sit down. Because right now, on the line, is James Dean and Jack Shanahan. On the line, ready to go towards the final. let's bring you back a couple of years ago when James Dean was teaching Jack Shanahan how to drive in a 325 BMW doing donuts. Here they are now, one an ex-Irish champion, the other the greatest in the world. And Jack Shanahan's beaten James Dean in this time before. Grandstand, I said on your feet, it's Dean and Shanahan. Here we go. Dean off the line, Shanahan right there with him.
Shanahan side by side as they, whoa, big entry from both drivers, door to door on initiation. Shanahan looks for the door of Dean. Dean looks to fill the outer zone. Side by side as they come around by Link Engine Management. Dean throws it onto the wall. Shanahan follows suit. Can Shanahan close the gap? Look at this, door to door contact over the line. Unbelievable. We keep lining them up and they keep delivering. Mondello Park makes some noise.
He just folded in James Dean's door across the line, guys. Give it up for Shanahan and Dean. They're on it today. Shanahan lost a little bit of ground and then just over the finish line said, hey, how many times do you think Shanahan's knocked on the door of Dean's over the years, half a mile down the road? Well, that's a more expensive knock on the door there because he just pushed James Dean's door in as they came across the finish line, just to remind him that he's had a one-up on him before. Contact as they come across the line. Incredible stuff. I mean, this is the final we all wanted a year ago. Now we're getting it in the top 8. This is the reality of the situation. And that's Shanahan's in the game there. He's in the game. He's with him the whole way through. What has James Dean got?
That's the best Jack Shanahan we have seen all year, and you can see they are itching to go for the second half of this one. Thumbs up from Jack Shanahan. He's ready to take it to the best in the world. Dean needs to hunt the door. Off the line they come. Shanahan to lead them in. James Dean, side by side through the first corner. Shanahan takes it wide. Dean tucks in behind him. Shanahan fills the outer zone. Both drivers standing on the accelerator. Shanahan switches it back to the wall, but he can't shake James Dean, who's right there in the pocket. James Dean. Oh! Shanahan with the hand out the window. Mondello Park. Are you not entertained?
Ah, it's just insane. Grandstand, we're still going here. We're still going. Grandstand, that justified staying standing. And once again, everybody, when they exit these cars, you absolutely shake that grandstand down for James Dean and Jack Shanahan.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it, Dave. We have a problem.
I have a problem.
We have a huge problem.
I have no voice.
Because
it's a long weekend.
there is so much talent left on this grid that it is just going to go one more time all day.
No, it's not. I will just have a heart attack and fall over, and then that's the end of that. I know. Then we can just get Ian Waddington. He's down there somewhere in the pits. He can replace me. We're fine. All right, well, I'm not sure on that one, Eddie. I'm not sure either way.
I'm going to call one more time, Dave. That's all I can see.
I am not sure either way on that one because, to be honest, there was proximity in some areas from one driver and others on the other run, and it looked like a balanced off.
I'm going to go out and say, from where I sat, which is an untrained eye, one more time or a Jack Shanahan win.
Really? I was thinking the other way. One more time or a James Dean win. So both of us can't be right, and it's usually me that's right, Eddie, as we always know. But in this case, I could be wrong because I'm not sure. Oh, we've got, yeah, it's a result. Here we go. Slide him left for Shanahan. Right for Dean. It's for a spot in the final 4. 1 for James Dean. And James Dean gets the win and goes through to the final 4. Sorry, Eddie, we're going back to the judges.
Yeah, very, very tight decision there, Dave. It kind of comes back down, unfortunately. Jack has a great chase against James, but just doesn't have proximity. There's a couple of spots where he just falls off a very, very small amount, and then when we swap the roles back around, James is glued to Jack all the way throughout the track. It's just a slightly stronger chase. It's kind of the narrowest of margins, but at the same time, it is enough to take the win.
So there you have it. James Dean moves on to the final 4.
Eddie, grandstand, stay. Hey, grandstand. Up. Come on. It's Forrest Wang and Mitch Lerner. You're even sitting down right now. Jesus. We're building this one up. 1 from Australia, 1 from Las Vegas. I just let it happen. I can't even commentate anymore.
It's just too confusing.
Both of these guys going for that undefeated streak this weekend, but they got to go through each other. Las Vegas versus Australia, both in their own cars, both here right now in Mondello Park, going through the gears.
Wang to lead them in. Mitch Lerner now. Can he take it to the final where he faced James Dean? Goes big dive down the inside from Lerner. Hunting down Wang's door. Drops back though. Wang filling that outer zone, sending up that smoke signal. Mitch looking to get straight back into it. Wang throws big angle onto the wall. Mitch starts to lose some ground. What has Lerner got through the final sections? He closes the gap, Dave. But is that the first chink in the armour of Mitch Lerner that we've seen?
Well, that was an incredible run from Forrest Wang and Mitch Lerner. Forrest Wang's line through the first corner, a little weird, just he got very wide of clipping zone 2 and Lerner had to back out a little bit. Wang on an interesting line there. Judges will be watching that one. So just when you thought Lerner made the mistake, I think Wang made a little bit of a mistake on entry as well. So this one could be right in the balance here. Another mistake from Lerner as he comes through, but then he gets back on the door just towards the end. This one could be a tale of two halves because Wang does make the error on entry, Lerner makes the error after that. I think this is going to all come down to the second run. And Forrest Wang, well, everybody loves this guy here. Everybody loves his style. He's such a cool character. He's so relaxed. He can't afford to be relaxed now. He's going to have to go right to the door of the Thunder from down under now, or he's going home.
Well, you say, Dave, everybody loves him here, but he's coming up against an almost honorary Irishman. The Irish crowd have taken Mitch Lerner as one of their own, and Western Australia will be sitting up watching with keen interest here as Lerner leaves the line. He's going to lead in Forrest Wang. They come over the brow of the hill of Mondello. One of them's going through to the final four. Wang offline, drops a couple of wheels. Lerner shreds the Zestino tyres, goes wide as he comes by Link Engine Management corner. A scrappy affair from these two. Wang throws out contact as they go towards the wall, but they stay in it. And over the line, Mondello Park raised the roof.
Oh, it's too much. It's too much. They're crashing into each other now, Ed. That's where we've gone. We've gone past close proximity to just smashing into each other in front of the grandstand. Guys, these guys have not only shipped a car from the USA, but they've also traveled from Australia. That is the most commitment anybody could put into being here in front of you. So when they exit those cars, and even if they don't, Mondello Park grandstand, will you make some noise for Mitch Lerner and Forrest Wang? Oh, I need a moment. I need a moment, Eddie. Just crash it. Just. Guys, give it up! It looks like the results, though, will come in. Who will go through to the final four to face James Dean? Slide him left for Lerner, right for Wang. One vote for Mitch Lerner. And Lerner gets the win! Lerner gets the win and goes through to the final four. Forrest Wang, ladies and gentlemen, he'll be back in action tomorrow at the Drift Masters European Championship. If you're here tomorrow, you'll see him back out on track. You'll also see Mitch Lerner, because he's definitely cemented his second place in the championship. Judges, quickly, what was going on there?
The first run there, Forrest just missed clip 2 and he got wide, and I think he kind of forced Mitch to have to transition earlier, which explains Mitch's error at zone 3 to 4. But then Mitch makes his own mistake at zone 5, misses that, so that kind of evened up at the end. So that was a 5-5 in the first one, and then the second one there, I think you saw that Mitch had a great lead, and Forrest makes a big error on entry. And then he cuts the track massively to try and get back on proximity near the end. So big advantage for Mitch in the second.
Whoa. Grandstand. It's bloody McKeever and Shanahan here. Get up off the seats. Connor Shanahan, Dwayne McKeever. McKeever needs to beat Shanahan to go through to, and what is even happening, Eddie? What is even happening right now?
It's just battle after battle
okay,
after
here we go.
battle
McKeever.
of just hardcore drivers.
Hasn't lost the battle all year. Connor Shanahan beat James Dean this year. Want to pick it? I can't pick it. We're about to send them. McKeever, Shanahan through the gears. Here we go again.
Side by side once again. Shanahan tucks in behind. Oh, contact wasn't through the first corner. I'm not quite sure. McKeever comes a little shadow. Connor Shanahan goes deep. They start to fill the outer zone side by side as they come by Link Engine Management.
Oh, from Shanahan!
Big dive from Shanahan as McKeever throws it to the wall. Insane proximity through end from Shanahan, brings the fight and tries to force the champ.
Oh, that's too much. It's too much now. It's too much. 4 people fell over in the grandstand there. They just had enough of it. Look at this. Games from Shanahan. Guys, give it up for them as they head back up. Oh. I mean, Eddie, have you ever seen anything quite like this? Shanahan, you don't even, he's millimeters from McKeever. This is the hardest battle McKeever's had all season. And he's just had it here in the top 8. We've loads more battles to go, Eddie. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe we'll just stop it here. I've had enough. It's just, let's give them all a trophy.
Yeah, just put it on pause and let's go get a cup of tea, because this is just crazy.
Insane. Shanahan now lines up in the lead position. McKeever's in the chase. McKeever has to be incredible here. Not just great, not even exceptional, incredible to outdo Shanahan's run. And they're off the line. Here we go. McKeever, undefeated streak on the line. He's got to chase in the 15-year-olds.
Bumper to bumper. Shanahan fires it in. Perfect from the youngster. McKeever, though, right there with him. Shanahan. Perfect through link ECU. Now McKeever starts to close the gap. Starts to reel him in. Transitions perfectly onto the door as they throw it to the wall. Caution to the wind. McKeever right there with Conor Shanahan as they cross the line. Once again, phenomenal from both drivers. Shanahan, McKeever. Dave, this is exhausting.
I don't know. That's the first time I've questioned Dwayne McKeever's win in a long time. That was exceptional. Grandstand, these are your boys. These are Irish boys about to put it on in the UK and Europe all year. They're back home in front of a home audience. Will you make some noise for Dwayne McKeever and Conor Shanahan? Oh, I mean, it's too much. Look, we have another day of this tomorrow, another whole day with 22 countries going to war, and all these guys are back in again. There is no way we're going to be able to handle this. This is the best round I've watched, I think, ever in Irish Drift history, and even the camera can't keep up with it. It just wants to turn off. It's had enough. After this, we got to give it up. Okay, so McKeever, he's won every battle this year. Will it be a 15-year-old from Cork to take him down, or will McKeever go to the top 4? Slide him left for Shanahan, right for McKeever. One vote for Conor Shanahan. You ready? Conor Shanahan gets the win! Conor Shanahan! Guys, give it up though for your 2018 Irish Drift champion, Dwayne McKeever. And Conor Shanahan goes through. Judges, tell us quickly how that one went down.
This is absolutely amazing driving. First of all, we can completely disregard the lead runs because they were both absolutely flawless. It all really comes down to the chase runs, and we really are splitting hairs. Conor's chase run was absolutely fantastic. I couldn't even write down anything negative to say in it in my notes here in front of me. But Dwayne, the only thing that we can mark him down with is that he had slightly less proximity from outer zone 1 to outer zone 3 compared to Conor, and that was the only defining factor in the whole 2 runs. Other than that, I'd say we would have seen these two go all one more time all day. It was actually splitting hairs, but Conor just took it slightly over the 2 runs.
So what we wait on now is Mr. Peter Viansek and Paul Hey! You saw the first one of these. You can't sit down on this. It's McCarthy and Viansek. Am I right? So far, I've been right, okay? You give me that. This one, they jumped off the ground on the last one of this one, so I'm not sure what's going to happen next here. Paul McCarthy goes up against the last round winner of the Formula Drift Championship. This is another huge battle. They went one more time. The one more time is happening now. Viansek and McCarthy, a last spot in the final the top 8 up for grabs. McCarthy to lead in Viansek.
Yeah, and the winner of this one's going to have to come straight back around, a quick turnaround to get ready for our next battle. But look at this, Fiscak all over McCarthy. He loses a bumper through the first corner. They're going hard on this one. McCarthy getting into that out of zone, but Fiscak is right there with him, putting the Irish driver under pressure. Polish fans are out in force, waving the flags. McCarthy filling the outer zone, taking it to the wall. He comes back and obliterates his own bumper, Dave, as Fiscak takes it to the door.
McCarthy ran over his own bumper as he came across the finish line. And that is what it's all about. Another insane run from these two guys. Oh, I mean, look at this. McCarthy loses the bumper. Viansek drives straight over it. Viansek gets back on it, but it's the proximity from Viansek through that last section that was just incredible.
How good is the standard of driving at the moment? Just insane. Look at the proximity. McCarthy keeps the shoe
Look at
in.
McCarthy, straight over his own
Boom.
bumper again across the line.
But Peter Vice right there with him, Dave, the entire way around. Paul McCarthy has a task on his hands right now. He knows he's got to be glued to Peter Vice.
I mean, for Paul McCarthy to take down Peter Vice would be one of the biggest upsets in world drifting right now. The man is sitting third in the Formula Drift Championship. He's an ex-European champion. Now he goes up against Paul McCarthy, and McCarthy's loving this. He's loving the opportunity. Can he take down the favourite? Here we go. Look at McCarthy on the back bumper again.
Oh, yeah, almost making contact once again, wheel to wheel. McCarthy tucks in, drops a couple of wheels though, Dave, and loses some ground.
Oh, McCarthy's got an issue. McCarthy's got an issue. McCarthy's got an issue. There's a lot of fluid from the track there. I'm not sure exactly what's happening. Maybe it's a wheel off on the track. I'm not sure exactly what happened. It's a D-bead from Paul McCarthy, looks like, or is there a problem with the front? It looks like fluid coming from the car. I'm not sure exactly what happened. McCarthy puts his hands on his head. It looked like a failure. It looked like something went as he came through the first corner, Eddie. It looked like there was just no power in that car whatsoever. Watch this as he transitions into the first corner. Look, no smoke from the car at all, really. Nothing. And then when he transitions back, bang, it blows. Flames out from under the bonnet for Paul McCarthy. Fluid on the track right now. And you can see that trail of fluid from Paul McCarthy. Oh, that is not the way he wanted to finish this one. And you can see him just put his head in his hands. Guys, give it up for Paul McCarthy. Engine failure on the first corner. And that will put Viansek into the top 8. Oh, not the way we wanted to see it happen, Eddie, and just so unfortunate. And that's what it's all about, on the line. Cars just on the ragged edge, being pushed to and beyond their limits, and McCarthy has to bow out at this stage. I'm not sure, I'm presuming it's coolant on the track there, but yeah, just looked like it overheated. Watch the flame from just before this on the replay, you'll see the flame from McCarthy's car. And you can see he's already out of control here. No power in the car whatsoever. It was on just as they transitioned. Watch this. No smoke from McCarthy's car. Watch under McCarthy's car just about here. You'll start to see bang.
Boom, yeah. Boom goes the dynamite. And look, I mean, just another round and another tale of unfortunate events for Paul McCarthy this season, and it'll be a championship that he'll look back on.
And just to note, Peter Viansek 2 wheels off when that happened.
Yeah, that's what it caught my attention, Dave, was that it looked as though Peter was about to go into the gravel and take a trip to the beach.
Oh, hold on, Eddie, hold on. We're doing some recovery now. You can sit down. You can sit down. We're doing some recovery. This is okay. Take a breather. Grandstand, take a breather. It's okay. We'll be back to you in a sec. But right now, just take a breath.
You're going to need your energy.
You're going to need your energy. We've got a couple more to go. So McCarthy waits for his car to be recovered from the track. That will leave us with our...
Well, yeah, well, look, the winner of this one is going to be going up against Carter in the Great 8 for a spot in the Final 4, the final position available. We look forward then to the Final 4, which will see James Dean taking on Mitch Lerner. Connor Shanahan's going to take on the winner of Matt Carter or Peter Visek. I mean, this is just crazy.
I needed a break anyway, Eddie. I really needed a break there, because that was just...
We are guaranteed that we are going to have...
James Dean against Mitch Lerner is happening, so, I mean... I don't think anyone in Australia is going to sit down for that one.
Let's just turn the clock back about 24 hours, where then those two guys were practicing against each other. And Mitch Lerner put up a Facebook post, an Instagram post of him chasing down and being glued to the door of James Dean, and then tagged James Dean in it in an attempt to try and send a little message to James Dean that he was coming for him this weekend. Now he has that opportunity to do it when it matters.
Yeah, so we're going to see Connor Shanahan go up against the winner of our next battle, which will see Viansek go up against Carter. Now, at this point in time, just to give you the statistics, because I'm kind of into that, going into the Final 4 will be 2 Irish drivers.
Both from Cork.
Both from Cork. James Dean and Connor Shanahan going up against 2 international drivers, because it'll either be Carter and Viansek and Lerner going through. So it is a 50% chance right now that the Irish undefeated streak will fall here today. That is where we are. Guys, round of applause for Paul McCarthy. What an unfortunate way to end his season, and he just heroically battled on there. There is only water on the track, they're reporting, so not a major cleanup, just some water from the radiator, not oil, thank God. So they're just going to make a little bit of a cleanup there and get things back underway as we wait for Viansek to come back out on the track to go up against Matt Carter. And there's another heavyweight battle again, because both of those guys have been on it from the start. Once again, a huge thank you to all of our sponsors here at the Irish Drift Championship. Link ECU, the title partner of the Irish Drift Championship, and the world's leading standalone ECU. Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil. Mixgarage.com, Europe's largest online retailer of car parts and accessories. M-Tech Brakes, the leading UK supplier of brake components. JDM Distro, the #1 supplier of JDM products, new and used in Europe. Zestino Tires, custom molded for extra grip. VP Racing Fuels, the world leader in race fuel technology. Brian James Trailers, crafting quality trailers for over 30 years. Simpson Racing, the benchmark in motorsport safety products. Monster Energy, of course, fueling the Irish Drift Championship. Group D, specialist in drift parts and fabrication. And Samco Sport, the original performance silicone hose brand. Those guys allowing us to put on this show throughout the year. And something we don't give enough thanks to, making all this happen and making these shows happen and allowing these internationals to come here and broadcasting it across the world for people to argue on the internet. That happens because of those crazy sponsors. You get to watch this action from across wherever you are, phone, anything like that. That comes from those guys. So if you are going to buy products, anything related to those, support the people that support the sport. That's what I always say. As we wait for Peter Fiadsek, Eddie, I'm thinking I'm just going to need a wheelchair to get out of here this evening because I am exhausted. It has been one of those days where we knew it would be special. Then tomorrow, though, that's what it's all about.
I was just going to say, Dave, don't get too exhausted because you got to come back here and do this all over again. And those guys that you've just seen, guess what? They're coming back with, you know, guys from 22 countries, the craziest drivers you're going to see in Europe. If you haven't been following what they're doing in Europe, then you can't really call yourself a drift fan. It's been the most insane season ever. James Dean has been pushed to his limits. He may have taken that championship, but by no stretch of the imagination did he have it all his own way. And there's some crazy, crazy Polish drivers here this weekend, and they are going to wow you with the talent that they possess.
Yeah, just to let you know, we had 5 or 6 countries represented here today. Tomorrow, we've got 22 countries represented. And Ireland trail Poland in the Nations Cup at the Drift Masters European Championship. And also, of those drivers, 28 of them have never competed on this track before, and they go up against the top 8 in the Irish Drift Championship, along with the guys you're seeing on track now.
And I'm going to go out there and say, Dave, I've seen about 5, 6, maybe even 7 Polish flags in the audience. I haven't seen one tricolour, so the Irish fans really got to step their game up.
Well, there's just one on the flagpole over there, Eddie. Just one over there.
Do you know what, Dave? You're killing my vibe.
Yep. That's what I plan to do, Ed. That's what I'm here for. But it is going to be a sensation. I mean, if you've watched it all the way from Poland in a stadium where Conor Shanahan took down James Dean, to Hungary, where it was an incredible battle between Grzegorz Hipki and Juha Poitalakso. Then we took that incredible journey all the way through, you know, Germany. We were there 2 weeks ago. We were in Torun in the stadium. We were in Riga. I mean, just what a year it's been for European drifting. And right now, I mean, this was supposed to be the warm-up act for tomorrow, but the Irish boys right now are going to have an argument about it, saying we're going to steal the show here this weekend. And we are ready to go back to the line. Peter Fiadsek and Matt Carter will fill up the last top 4 position, and then we get to the finals.
Yes, one international driver already in that final 4, Mitch Lerner. One more guaranteed. Is it going to be Carter? Is it going to be Peter Fiadsek? They await 2 800 brake horsepower monsters sit on the line. 2 Nissan Skylines, 1 R32, 1 R34. 1 man from Poland, 1 man from the UK. 2 former national champions sit on the start line, and a spot in the final 4 against Conor Shanahan awaits. Carter, the higher qualifier, will lead them in. Peter Fiadsek will chase him down, Dave, but he has looked astonishing all afternoon.
There's going to be 1,600 horsepower coming over the hill here. 1 from the UK, 1 from Poland. It's happening here at Mondello.
And the grandstand, yeah, that's it. Stand up.
You know the score.
You
know this. It's okay. See that? I didn't even need to prompt him. There's one guy there. He's leading the whole thing. Yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
You're leading the whole thing right now. Is that Dale campaign? No. Yeah, he's leading the whole thing. Once he stands up, everybody stands up. That's how it works. Peter Fiadsek now starting to make his way back up to the line and ready for his battle against Matt Carter. This is going to be a huge battle. And Carter would love to take one down here on Fiadsek because he's the current man at the moment in Formula Drift. Carter hasn't had the perfect year in Europe, but imagine taking down Peter Fiadsek, going up.
Look at the rear end of that car, Dave.
There is nothing left.
I mean, that was showroom condition when it arrived in Mondello yesterday, and it has been absolutely destroyed. Paul McCarthy could account for quite a lot of that as well. So Carter waits on the line.
Yeah, he's ready. As I mentioned before, he said he's turned this car up to a limit that he's never tried before. There's so much boost and anti-lag in this car to try and make it the fastest thing on the grid. He goes up against another 800 horsepower car in Peter Fiscak in that R34 Skyline. He's taken a couple of walls with him today, and this is going to be one of those incredible moments where Poland and the UK fight it out in Mondello Park, and this isn't even the European Championship part of the event. So that's how stacked this grid is, how stacked this weekend is. I'm just going to ask, you guys in the grandstand, you're coming back tomorrow, right? You know there's going to be another 22 countries thrown in on top of this tomorrow, right? If you've got a weak heart, if you're pregnant, just don't come back tomorrow. It's not going to work out for you.
Don't tell them not to come back.
No, it's
we
safety
worked so
first.
hard to get them
it's
here.
Safety first, Ed.
We are almost
We're good to go,
Dave. We are almost good to go. One spot in the final four remains. Who's going to take it? The door hunter and the Candyman, they leave the line. Here we go. Carter, Fiscak, down the stretch they come. Carter throws it in. Fiscak is right there behind him. Carter right out to that outer zone. Peter Fiscak looks to formulate his attack. Bit of a straighten from Peter Fiscak. Carter, a little bit of a waver. Carter in the jump speed. R32. Drift Masters represented by Peter Fiscak, door to door as they cross the line.
Wow, another I mean, if you took that as a final, you'd be like, well, admission price covered, everyone's happy. We saw some great drifting. This is something else. This is the last battle of the top 8, then we're into the top 4. They go back up to the line. Incredible stuff from both of these guys. Carter, is it Carter straightens or Fiscak? That's what I'm watching for on the replay here. It looks like both make a mistake, but it looked to me like Carter just had a little wobble. Watch this, as they come out to the outer zone, Carter kind of slows up a little bit. Yeah, just has a little waver. Fiscak has a little waver. It might not count for it.
Yeah, I think both drivers almost have a similar problem at a similar time, so I'm not sure if one is caused by the other.
I still think Fiscak's got the advantage here. I still think it's going to be thrown back on Carter. I think Carter's got to do something special here. He calls himself #the Door Hunter. Peter has 2 of those on the car, conventionally.
And he'll get opportunities to chase down both.
I think this is time for you to justify, a silly, childish hashtag by making it happen in real life. Here we go. Fiscak leading in Carter.
Yeah, Carter right on the back bumper, though, as he hunts down the door. As the name suggests, perfect line from Peter Fiscak. Carter now. Can he close the gap? Can he get the proximity on the Polish driver? Right now it looks as though he can't as he throws it down onto the wall. Carter brings it back into him. Carter with the proximity. Door to door as they cross the line. The Polish flag's been waved. And these two guys putting on a show once again. I'm not sure which way that one's going to go. Is it advantage to Fiscak? Is it advantage to Carter? We look at the replay, Dave.
Yeah, replays are in now. Fiscak and Carter. Guys, they've come all the way from the UK and Poland. You got to give them that Irish welcome. Give it up for Fiscak and Carter. Then we go straight into the top 4, Eddie. It's going to be sensational. I mean, we're guaranteed a 50% Irish, 50% European. We've got an Australian in there, so 50% international audience. The Polish are in-house. They're ready for tomorrow, and they're supporting Mr. Peter Fiscak on track right now. Let's see if he's done enough, or will it be the UK going through to the top 4?
So judges discussing this one, and well they may. Guys, give them another round of applause. 2 guys performing at their absolute best. Great friends off the circuit, and they've been all over Europe together this year. And Peter, of course, not competing in that European Championship, but here this weekend to put on a show. The Polish fans making themselves heard. Judges taking a quick look just at the first replay, or the first run, rather.
I mean, it's too hard to call, Eddie. I'm trying to analyze it here. I did a little bit of judging in my day in the old British Drift Championship, and I'm trying to see which way I would go, and I've kind of just switched my brain off and said, thank God I don't have to make a call on this one. Will it be Fiscak? Will it be Carter? Who will go through to the final 4? As you can see, Lerner and Dean await on the line. Will it be the UK? Will it be Poland? Will Matt Carter take down the man in 30? He's got 1 vote. Matt Carter's got a vote. Will he get another one? For a huge upset, it is! Matt Carter beats Peter Fiscak in Mondello and goes to the final four. Judges, tough one there.
Very tough decision, Dave, but absolutely fantastic battle. All comes back down, to be honest with you, to the first run there. Peter just doesn't have quite as much proximity to Matt throughout the first 3 clips as what Matt does while he's chasing Peter. Now, while the battle was absolutely fantastic, and we did see a mistake in the first run coming out past clip 4, both mistakes washed one another, and we weren't really penalising the drivers because it was actually caused by the coolant that has come out of Paul McCarthy's car. So it was Matt, to be honest with you, was just a stronger driver.
So there you have it. Matt Carter goes through, and here we go. James Dean up against Mitch Lerner. I don't even need to tell anyone to stand up for this one. Australia versus Ireland. Mitch Lerner, if he beats James Dean here, that is the biggest moment of his career. Never mind the championship, he's in 2nd position there. But to take down Dean, you can imagine he's going to throw everything he's ever had in this car at this first corner.
Dave, he's bought a brand new kitchen sink just to hurl it at James Dean here, because he knows what it means to come up against James Dean. He knows what he's going to have to do. He's done it in practice, but you don't win practice. Dean, Lerner, through the first corner. Lerner washes wide. Lerner washes wide and loses some ground, Dave. He needs to pull his socks up. He needs to fight his way back in. Spins. Lerner spins at link engine management corner. And you know what? You can do what you want on social media, but it only matters when it matters. And right now it matters, and James Dean takes a 10-0 advantage.
Well, it looks to me like Mitch Lerner just came in a little too hot, had to wash that bit wide. Guys, hit him with a wall of sound from the grandstand, pushing extremely hard. Lerner just spinning out in the chase position as they came in. He had a lot of ground to make up there, Eddie. The first corner was where the mistake was made. He lost a little bit of ground on Dean. He made a massive dive to link engine management corner, but at the same time, trying to slow that car down in all of that time just proved too much. So let's see exactly which way this plays out. You can see that Mitch Lerner himself will know now in the lead position. He's got to hope for a miracle here, Eddie, because James Dean is looking pretty strong. And I mean, at this stage now, remember, this is one of those international versus Irish battles. If James Dean wins this one, that is down to just Matt Carter trying to get through to the final to try and break this streak on a Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you take it now, James Dean in the chase position, and he could probably do this track blindfolded at this stage, but he knows he doesn't have to force the issue. He knows that there's nobody applying the pressure from the rear, so a quick blast of the circuit and James Dean will be into the final. Leaves a bit of a gap on Mitch Lerner. Lerner foot to floor as he tries to do everything he can from the lead position. James Dean not perfect behind him, but he doesn't need to be.
This is clinical from Dean here. He knows he just has to stay in the fight. He doesn't need to do anything too aggressive, doesn't need to risk the car right now. That looks like it's job done for James Dean, and the streak steps a little closer to being safe on the Saturday of this double-header event with Drift Masters European Championship. And James Dean and Mitch Lerner pull to the line for a decision. Slide him left for Lerner, right for Dean. And going to the final is James the Machine Dean. Guys, give them a huge round of applause. Mitch Lerner gave it absolutely everything he had there. And it looks like he'll be contesting for 3rd place on the podium, Eddie.
Yeah, he'll be back for a playoff battle with the...
Hey, hold on. Mitch, you made it further than Dwayne McKeever at this event, if that's any consolation after the year you've had, but not further than the Machine.
Yeah, and look, 2nd place in the championship, guys. Give him a round of applause. A phenomenal season, phenomenal commitment from a man who has had to commute 5 times from Australia just to be here. And he heads to prepare himself for a 3rd, 4th place playoff battle. But James Dean, once again, Dave, into the final, and he is back on Irish soil.
I can see Matt Carter now making his way up to the line to face off against Shanahan. The streak will not be beaten today if Matt Carter loses to Conor Shanahan. It will go into tomorrow, the last day of the Irish season, to see if an international could win on home soil. I was worried today.
But if he does beat Conor Shanahan and he does beat James Dean, he'll have beaten some of the best in the business to take the streak. And what a statement that would be.
Well, Carter would have to have gone through an incredible run. He'd have to go through Vascalis, he'd have to go through Conor Shanahan and James Dean to win it. So there's no argument there if he does. And right now, the way Matt Carter is driving, many wouldn't bet against him. Conor Shanahan, imagine.
He also took down Brendan Stone,
an ex-Irish champion, as you mentioned earlier, Eddie. So Conor Shanahan's on the line, Carter is ready. We are about to send these guys into this top 4 battle to who will face James Dean in the final and who will face Lerner in the 3rd and 4th place playoff.
So both drivers just being advised by the marshal.
Yeah, being advised and told, you know, we're also running a little bit out of time here because this event has gone so many one more times that we are running towards our 6 o'clock curfew, and we're trying to get this one done before it's done. Carter's warming tires, Shanahan's warmed his tires. 15-year-old Irish guy going up against a 2-time UK champion in the top 4 here in Ireland. And if Conor Shanahan wins, no one will ever have beaten the Irish in their own championship. Can we make that a stipulation? But tomorrow it still counts. If an international wins tomorrow, which all of these guys will be back in action tomorrow for the main event, and I mean main event loosely because this has just pulled out all the stops for the finale of the Irish Drift Championship. I don't know if our hearts can take any more tomorrow, but right now it's Carter versus Shanahan, ready to come off the line. Shanahan will be in the chase position. He's got to get the job done in the first run and stay close. And Carter's off the line, Shanahan's off the line. Here we go, streak on the line.
Carter, Shanahan, Carter starts to pull the gap. He's looking really comfortable out there, nailing that qualifying line, getting deep into the outer zone as he comes by link engine management corner. But look at this, Conor Shanahan now starts to apply the pressure, starts to bring the fight, pushes Carter a little bit wide, door to door as they cross the line. Blow for blow, they keep going, Dave.
Unbelievable. I mean, Shanahan is 15 years of age, being given the responsibility of holding down 15 years of history here, and does a good job. Loses a lot of ground on the first corner, but starts to collect it towards the second, but cuts the track to do so. I know it looks like Conor finished strong here, but he misses a lot of zones. Eddie doing it. Carter, for me, may take an advantage here. Better line. Shanahan gets the proximity at the end, although Carter dropping a wheel over the line. I think Carter's looking on rails today. He's going to be very hard to beat. I think Shanahan's going to have his work cut out here.
Yeah, and I think from Carter's point of view, he'd be saying, you know, where was this form and where was this reliability from the car all season long, and what it could have meant for him had this car been running. He is proving himself, Dave, against the best as one of the best.
Unbelievable.
From the drivers to each other, letting themselves know that they are ready. Conor Shanahan readies himself, slots that car into gear. We are go for the second half of this one. Who's going to the final? Shanahan flicks it in, Carter right there with him. No separation on entry here from these two. Will Carter look for the door as they come into link engine management corner, side by side? Can Shanahan pull a gap? Throws it onto the wall, but Carter's right there with him. Shanahan also drops the wheel. Door hunter hunts the door side by side and almost contact as they cross the line. Mondello Park makes some noise.
Yeah, you can see how much damage is on Conor Shanahan's car at this stage. There is just...
And Dave, I'm just looking out. It started to rain. Would you believe it has started to rain?
I'd say it might just not be enough to upset them just yet, but we'll see how it goes. We need a decision. It's for a spot in the final. Will it be Shanahan? Will it be Carter? If Shanahan wins, the streak is safe for another day. But what will the judges say? 1 vote for Matt Carter. Two votes for Matt Carter. Carter's going to the final against Dean. Shanahan will go up against Lerner in 3rd and 4th. And right now, what a finale we have ahead of us. We got to go back to our judges quickly, guys. This is just insane.
Yeah, in the first one there, Matt had a really good lead line. Conor has no proximity really from 1, 2 to 3. He just doesn't have the proximity. He does a bit of a dive coming into outer zone 4 without compromising his line too much. He kind of gains it near the end, The only error Matt made is he had a wheel off on zone 6. So bearing that in mind, that one ended up being even 5-5. And the second one there, I think it was fairly obvious. Matt had very, very good proximity throughout the run, and Conor also dropped the wheel at zone 6. So Matt took it over the second run.
So there you have it. Matt Carter goes through to the final where he will showdown with James Dean. But we got a little matter of a third and fourth place playoff to look after before that. Mitch Lerner, Conor Shanahan. Shannon's already taken down Dwayne McKeever, making a statement to what could have been had he been contesting the Irish Championship this year. Can he take down Lerner to secure a podium finish and bring some silverware back to the Shanahan family in County Cork? Dean, though, goes up against Carter in the final, and what a mouth-watering battle that is going to be. Matt Carter has not put a foot wrong all day long. Could he take down the streak, beating the man who is the biggest name in drifting worldwide? Could he take the streak against James Dean? There could be no argument for it if he did. If he beats James Dean, he will go down as one of the greatest drivers to ever come to Irish soil. We are almost ready. The drivers prepare themselves. They're changing tires, refueling their machines, steadying themselves and getting themselves in the zone. 3 spots up for grabs on that podium. 1 driver going home with no silverware. We want to take the opportunity while we have it to thank all of our sponsors here this year as well. Of course, Link ECU coming on board as the title sponsor of the Irish Drift Championship and the world's leading standalone ECU brand. Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil. MixGarage.com, Europe's largest online retailers of car parts and accessories. M-Tech Brakes, the leading UK supplier of brake components. JDM Distro, the #1 supplier of JDM products in Europe. Zestino Tire, custom molded for extreme grip. VP Racing Fuels, the world leader in race fuel technology. Brian James Trailer, crafting quality trailers for over 30 years. Simpson Racing, the benchmark in motorsport safety products. Monster Energy, been on board fueling the Irish Drift Championship from its establishment in over 15 years ago. Group D, the specialists in drift parts and fabrication. And of course, Samco Sport, the original performance silicone hose brand. Guys, if you're building a car, if you want to give back to the people that give to the sport, get online, check them out. They're here in attendance this weekend as well. Go have a chat with them, talk to them and see if you can do a deal. Dave, it has been a crazy, crazy afternoon from qualifying all the way through to top 32. It just has been non-stop, top-class action, one after another. You can hear my voice already is just saying, give up.
You know, you build it, you promo it, you talk about it, you sell it to the people, and you just pray, because there's 2 things you can't predict, and that's the driving and the weather, right? There's nothing we can do about that from an organizational point of view. Today, the weather played ball, and those boys on the track, they have blood, sweat, and tears poured into that performance today. And what I'm even more impressed with, what I'm even more excited about is they're going to go do it all again tomorrow, most of them, which, I mean, how do you go home tonight, come back, there's a briefing this evening for Driftmasters, get down off that high, come straight back out tomorrow morning, go at this again in front of a record pre-sale and attendance in Mondello Park. It's going to be one of the best weekends of drifting ever had by anybody. I don't think you can argue that. You can argue over decisions and results like people on the internet will always do, because that's what the focus is. It's not about that. What it is about the sport, bringing these incredible people together, incredible people to the grandstands, incredible people in the staffing. This sport is making waves. It's not about a decision. It's not about who wins. It's about the sport progressing. And look at what we're witnessing here compared to 5 years ago in this very event. Incredible.
I don't think there can be any argument for what we have seen today. I mean, every driver has come out and given it their all. They've all wanted to be the guy that took the top step on this podium, that took the bragging rights. They have put absolutely everything into it. The crowd has arrived in its numbers. They've been on their feet. They've supported their local drivers. There's international fans supporting international drivers. The atmosphere here is crazy. If you're not here, get yourself here, because you are going to miss the best show tomorrow. If today is anything to go by, it's going to be stepped up even more tomorrow.
Looks like we are ready to go, yeah.
Ready to go, Dave, for the 3rd and 4th place playoff. And what about, I mean, if we haven't seen enough already, Conor Shanahan, 14 years of age, taking on Mitch Lerner, 21 years of age. He travels 5 times a year from Australia.
We're just hearing reports.
Just to be here.
Just hearing reports. Eddie, Conor Shanahan reporting clutch issues in his 180SX. Clutch issues in the car. Lerner may have the advantage here. We're ready to send him off the line. Lerner warming his tires. Shanahan coming around that corner. No, it's Matt Carter coming around the corner. He's in the final against James Dean, as you know. And Conor Shanahan heading towards the start line now. 4 runs until we're finished here. And it has been an incredible event. I mean, if tomorrow is set up just to be spectacular. I mean, if this is the Irish side of things, imagine the European side of things tomorrow. This is what it's all about in drifting. And I'm just sitting back and enjoying the action in front of me here. It's not about anything else other than just sitting back and admiring the dedication, the commitment of these drivers, how they've put Ireland on the map, how Mitch Lerner's brought his car and all his setup to Ireland 5 times this year, and what a hero he's been all season. Matt Carter, well, you know, he's had a terrible season all year, now redeeming himself here as one of the best in the business. Everybody's going happy from this one. Everybody's going home happy, but still 3 trophies, 4 drivers. 1 person is going to be hard done by. We are ready to send cars from the start line. Conor Shanahan and Mitch Lerner's for 3rd spot on the podium. Lerner's ready, Shanahan's ready. These guys are good friends behind the scenes. Grandstand, are you ready for this one?
They're already on their feet, Dave. Of course they're ready. Here we go. Shanahan leaves the line, slams through the gears. Lerner right there with him, side by side as they come down the straight. Here we go. Big flick entry from Conor Shanahan. Lerner hunts the door. The thunder from down under. Could we see him on the podium once again here? Or will Shanahan spoil the party? Deep into that outer zone goes Shanahan, but Lerner's right there on the door. Shanahan throws it onto the wall. Lerner side by side, bringing the fight once again. Wheel to wheel as they cross the line, they make contact, Dave. Lerner and Shanahan, Mondello, hands together and show your appreciation.
Incredible. I mean, guys, just round of applause for whatever the hell this is going to be. Shanahan and Lerner, no wrong turn there. Amazing chase run from Mitch Lerner. Stuck into the rear quarter. Shanahan on a perfect lead run. Incredible driving from everybody today. The highest standard I've ever seen in this country in its 15-year history, and it's happening right now in the finale of the 2018 season. And Lerner and Shanahan will get one more throw of the dice here as they go into their second half of their run. Shanahan will be in the chase position. Lerner's laid it down now, Eddie. I mean, at this point in time, Shanahan's going to have to be exceptional. He's going to have to throw caution to win, and he's got another championship to contend tomorrow. This is one that's going to play on his head here.
Look, Dave, at this stage of the competition, there is no such thing as a safe run. There's no such thing as holding back. It's all or nothing. We are go. The final run of this battle. Lerner leads them in. Big, fast entry from him. Doyle's on the angle. Shanahan obliterates the inner cone. Lerner gunning for that outer line. Now Shanahan makes the dive. He comes hunting for that door of Lerner. Can he bring himself into this one? Conor Shanahan shuts it down.
Clutch. The clutch goes.
The clutch goes for Conor Shanahan. Heartbreak at the final hurdle.
Oh, Conor Shanahan's car, clutch failure. And that is going to hand the win and 3rd place on the podium. And you know what? Irregardless of whatever way it goes, from my perspective right now, guys, will you please give a huge, huge ovation to Mitch Lerner. He takes 3rd step on the podium. You can do better than that. And I want just as big a cheer to commiserate Conor Shanahan on 4th position. Clutch gone in the car. Guys, give it up. Guys, give it up for Conor Shanahan and Mitch Lerner. That is it. Lerner takes 3rd step on the podium. So that is it. It's one final run remain. James Dean and Matt Carter are on the line. That is it done. 3rd step has been decided. We've just got one more battle left to go. Guys, give it up once again for Conor Shanahan and Mitch Lerner.
Yeah, unfortunate way for that one to end, and of course, Conor Shanahan reporting that clutch issue before the start of that battle, Dave, and you know what, a good showing from him this weekend. He's really looked on form, and we're going to see him hopefully back out tomorrow. But we move our attention to one thing. It's the final. It is James Dean. It is Matt Carter.
If Matt Carter wins here, he becomes the first international driver in 15 years to win on Irish soil, and it's going to be the UK that does it. And Carter's had a horrible year, and he goes up against James Deane, and they're off the line. It's the final runs of the day. Deane to lead in Carter.
Carter right on the back bumper of the 14 of the Falcon tyre of James Deane. Dives down the inside, he stays with Deane, big transition. Deane.
Oh, Carter's there!
Zone, but Carter all over him. Carter not bowing down to the great one. Deane throws it onto the wall. Shreds the bumper. Look at the proximity from Carter. Carter door to door across the line. Mondello, in your life have you seen it? The great one pushed to the very limits.
Has this not been the greatest day of the Irish Drift Championship we've ever seen? Give it up for Deane and Carter. Carter's in the fight, Eddie. Not only is he in the fight, he's just hit about 7 combos to James Deane around that track. Unbelievable. Watch the proximity. He's front wheel to front wheel around that last corner. Matt Carter, he did not back down 1 inch. Look at this. Almost front wheel to front wheel with James Deane. Maxis versus Falcon, Worthouse versus Jaspeed, and Carter proving why this year's European Championship wasn't a true representation of his talent. And right now, everybody in the UK is saying, this is our boy, this is our champion. And Ireland is now hoping and praying that James Deane can pull something out, because he's got to be exceptional here, because I am very worried about this streak after that run.
What can he do, Dave, to try and outdo that chase run of Carter?
I don't know.
The streak is on the line. Here we go, the final run of the day. Carter leaves the line. Max's tires versus Falcon. Here we go. Deane all over Carter through the first corner. Side by side as they almost make contact. Carter throws it wide. Deane tucks in behind him once again.
Are you seeing this? James Deane, one last huge dive onto Matt Carter, and he's right there again.
Mondello Park raised the roof. Carter and Deane.
Ah, Eddie, what just happened? What just happened? Have we not just seen it all today? Guys, give it up for Jimmy Deane and Matt Carter. We are going to the podium.
Ladies and gentlemen, as they get out of their cars, hit them with a wall of sound. These two guys have fought like gladiators all day long. James Deane back on home soil. He was pushed to the very limits and raised the roof for the 2017 British Drift Champion, Matt Carter. Guys, show your appreciation. They have given it everything this afternoon, put it all on the line for your entertainment. One of them's going to the top step of the podium. Who's it going to be? We're going to announce it in just a moment's time. We want to thank all of you in attendance for being with us here and for coming and supporting the series. We know you'll be back again tomorrow, and we want to thank our sponsors, Link ECU, the title sponsor of the Irish Drift Championship and the world's leading standalone ECU, Mobile One, MixGarage.com, MTech Brakes, JDM Distro, Zestino Tires, VP Racing Fuels, Brian James Trailers, Simpson Racing, Monster Energy, Group D, Samco Sport, and we have our 4 highest finishers down in front of you guys one more time. Give them a big round of applause. Mitch Lerner, Connor Shanahan, James Deane, and Matt Carter. So Dave, over to you for the podium ceremony.
One, two, there we are. Wow, wow. Guys, give it up for your 3 finalists, what a day. And I can announce that taking 3rd position on the podium, will you please give it up for the Thunder from Down Under, Mitch Lerner. And this one, well, this one is for 15 years of history. And the judges have informed me of the winner and said it was one of the closest finals they've ever had to judge. I can announce that taking 2nd position on the podium is Matt Carter! And your winner of the final round of the Irish Drift Drift Championship, the machine, James Dean! That is all we've got time for today, guys. We're back here in the morning at 11 a.m. for Drift Masters European Championship, the finale of the Drift Masters European Championship. Until then, give it up for Mitch Lerner, Matt Carter, and your winner, James Dean!
We are Funk Motorsport, your heat management specialists. Based in the UK, we strive for perfection, developing thermal products trusted by professional race teams and drivers worldwide. Performance, protection, reliability.
Want to save money on car parts and accessories? Then visit mixgarage.com, Ireland's #1 retailer for all things motoring. Simply enter your reg, and away you go. Repair parts, car care and tools, travel accessories and service parts. All the great brands at great prices. mixgarage.com. Shop online now.
With over 25 years' experience, Link Engine Management are global leaders in motorsport engine technology. Developed and manufactured in New Zealand, Link has been supplying ECUs, sensors and dashes to drivers around the world. We have a range of products to help you get the most out of your engine, and all of our ECUs come with a limited lifetime warranty. So if you want to upgrade, find your nearest dealer and get more info on our products, visit linkecu.com.
Mobil 1 is one oil, and unlike any other, it combines multiple lubricant properties into one oil. It transforms at the molecular level. In low temperatures, it pumps up quickly to lubricate. In high temperatures, it provides outstanding protection. In harsh conditions, it adapts continuously, keeping your engine running like new. Mobil 1 lets you drive further than ever before. That's your engine evolved. Mobil 1. Energy lives here.
There's a reason that half the paddock, if not more here, runs Samco hose, and that's that nobody wants to be let down by a split water hose or a split boost hose. And with Samco, there's nothing to worry about.
With using these hoses, we get the reliability, they never burst, we can just rely on them, and that's all we need.
Half of the grid are running Samco hoses in their cars, and there's a reason for that. They're the best in the business.
I'm so happy to be running Samco hoses now, because in the past we have run other manufacturers' hoses and we have had the intercooler pipes collapsing, which obviously when you're under massive pressure on track, you have to be fully supportive and reliant on your hoses.
So a lot of people ask us over the years, you know, what hoses you run. Personally, I can't think of anything better than Samco. They do what they say on the tin, they work, they don't come loose, they don't fail on you, they don't pop. You can't beat Samco.
I've chosen to use VP Racing fuel since I was a teenager racing motocross, which was 21 years ago now.
I've been using VP Racing fuel for years, basically ever since I built my first race car, and you want to get that consistent fuel, it was VP through and through.
Absolutely,
right from the beginning.
that's the brand. Yeah, I've been using VP probably since I was 10 years old racing dirt bikes. There's so many different VP Racing fuels to choose from. One of the best go-tos is definitely C16.
So we use C16 in our Formula Drift cars.
I run C16 in all my cars, outside of this one here. The two race cars here at the track, we run the C85.
And my supercharged Coyote-powered Mustang that's over in Europe, we use MS-109.
And a Ferrari car, I actually run MS-109.
VP has been making racing fuel for 43 years. They're the official fuel of multiple top series globally. No matter where we are in the world, no matter what fuel we need, it's always consistent, it's always perfect and exactly what we're expecting and our tuners expecting. They support myself, my Drift Alliance bros, and for that, I'm extremely thankful. Keep making amazing fuels, and we'll keep out there having fun.
Presenting the Link MXS Strada dashes powered by AIM Technologies, 2 devices that work in harmony with your existing Link ECU. Available in the standard or street version, the Strada can show a wide range of data like speed, water temperature, oil pressure and much more, thanks to its ability to read up to 4 analog inputs and 1 digital input. Our dashes come pre-configured, allowing you to get set up quickly and easily. For more information on these and all of our other products, contact your local dealer or visit linkecu.com.